Non-humans were considered legends back in the day, a mere fictional existence. However, that is the story of the past. It all started with a video when non-humans decided to come in light. People decided to call them Genjin, meaning mythical person. The present age is considered an era of diversity. Genjin are slowly starting to be recognized. They have become a part of human society, and school is no exception. Private Keiki High School is said to the school with the most Genjin, and attending that school is a human, Yutaka Shinso, who looks sleepy at the moment. It takes him roughly 2 hours to commute to school, but he is okay as long as he can avoid his old friends. It is not like something serious happened. In fact, he liked to hang out with them. However, he is too conscious of his surrounding, and having to read the room every time he spoke made him unsure of his own identity. He came to this school thinking that you would be able to make friends here because there are many Genjin here and they must be facing the same difficulties as him. Like the girl beside him who is currently bending the locker door. She is Ogami Tsumiki, his classmate and a Genjin of werewolf type. The nature and constitution of a werewolf is transforming into a wolf or having super strength during a full moon. It must be harder for her to survive in the human society. He asks her the reason to bend the locker in such a distressed manner, but she replies that she is not venting her anger or anything. She is just trying to bend the locker so that her favorite shoes can fit into the locker without damage. However, Yutaka reminds her that she is damaging the school property, but she uses her super strength to fix the door right away. Yutaka suggests her to place her shoes on top of the locker. This way, she would not need to bend the locker every day. She likes the idea and attempts to pat him, but Yutaka flinches. She pauses and explains that she can moderate her strength. Yutaka explains to her that he is sensitive of how people perceive him, and it was definitely not because he was scared of her or anything. He desperately wants to prove it, so Tsumiki slaps him on the arm. She is not the least bit bothered by it because she knows that everyone is different. They introduces themselves and Tsumiki goes back to the classroom. This is the first time Yutaka talked to a Genjin, and she was so friendly. Even though Tsumiki is a Genjin, she is extremely popular. Everyone in the class is attracted by her and wants to talk to her. Yutaka, however, is not a fan of such popularity. Just thinking that she has to deal with curious eyes constantly is enough hurt his stomach. The topic of the conversation is now her cute shoes because there is no size available of school shoes for her big feet. She even shoes her big toes proudly even though they tear through her socks. Everyone goes silent, but Yutaka lets out a laugh. Tsumiki does not mind and laughs with him. She even shows him the belt she uses to keep her tail in place. The school does provide a skirt for beastmen, but she prefers the normal skirt more. She then offers Yukata to stretch the belt because he seemed interested. Yutaka denies it profoundly, but still cannot escape the staring eyes. Although Tsumiki is particular about fashion, she shoes off her toes. She does not seem to be concerned about her own nature and constitution. One day, a question arises if Tsumiki turns into a wolf on the full moon. The answer is she does not because it depends from person to person. Yutaka, however, is more concerned if these questions are appropriate when her classmates asks if she eats human meat. Tsumiki tells them that werewolves do not eat human meat anymore, but she does eat meat being a carnivorous. Yutaka knows that if she phrases it like that, she will be misunderstood. Therefore, he comments that she would be in jail if she actually ate human meat. The girls understand and Tsumiki feels touched despite herself. One of the classmates shows her a full moon on her phone while searching more about werewolves, making Tsumiki howl in such a cute manner that the boys want to record it. The information that Tsumiki howls cutely when she sees a full moon spread in other classes as well, increasing her popularity tenfolds. Boys of other classes come to her to get her contact number, even more Yutaka Senga, a vampire from the other class. He is so full of himself as he asks for Tsumiki's number, but she calls him an obstruction and tells him to get out of her way. If you think that she is being angry, you are wrong. It just happened that she was on her way to get lunch and Senga came in her way. Yutaka reads messages in the middle school class group. There is a reunion being planned and everyone expects that Yutaka would not come this time as well. Although he is affected by it, he pretends to not pay any mind to it. Just then, Tsumiki arrives, covered in dirt. The reason behind it is that the sandwich she ate during lunch was so good that she buried it in the ground to save it for later. She went to dig it after school, but ending up being hooked to the digging. She warns Yutaka that he should be careful of doing so as well, but he is pretty sure that he would not end up in this type of situation. Tsumiki does not mind going back home covered in dirt even when Yutaka offers his jersey. This causes Yutaka to question how he can become like her. He is always mindful of the people around him and how he is being perceived. He was allowed to attend a school so far away, so he decided to turn a new leaf and be himself, but he just does not know what that means. This is why Tsumiki accepting herself is something he admires. Tsumiki thinks that she's able to do so because of her Genjin nature, and being a human is difficult in her perspective. She offers to help him find his feelings, but Yutaka immediately refuses, saying that he can manage on his own. Tsumiki does not back down because she cherishes those around her, and Yutaka has already become someone close to her. She even realizes that he went to a faraway school because there are people he does not want to meet, and even says it bluntly to his face. She offers once again that they are different species and may not be able to align, but he should give her a chance to find his feelings. She extends her hands, making Yutaka think that it is a handshake, but she picks him up and moves towards the window, saying that they should start right away and go home together. Why the window instead of the door, you ask? It is because they are going to jump through the window. Yutaka refuses, of course, but Tsumiki jumps anyway. He feels sick after this experience, but also feels more free. He always thought that the classroom was so big, but as they got away from it, it got smaller. This experience is something that he would reminisce in the future. Tsumiki sniffs him in return. It does not mean that he smells bad. It is a greeting in Genjin world, which means to get along well. After she leaves, Yutaka gets the notification from the group chat once again. As he is deciding whether to go or not, he gets a message from Tsumiki for the first time. He remembers the moments from a while ago and feels something he does not have any idea about. The next day, Tsumiki finds a letter near her shoes which is written by Yutaka. It is a letter of gratitude and even comes with a small gift in her locker. She runs towards the classroom excitedly. She tells him that she has not listened to his whole story yet and invites him to her house. The whole class turns towards the two of them after hearing that. The boys drag him away, even though he says that it is not what they are thinking. She is only a friend. Tsumiki asks Yutaka to visit her home on Saturday, but he says that he has to check his schedule first. The reason for this reply is the questionable stares from the other boys who are listening to their conversation for some reason. Despite his reply, he is dragged by the boys and is questioned. The boys claim that they are only asking because they are curious as Tsumiki's fans. Yutaka tells them that they are just friends, but the fans do not buy it because she has never invited her other friends over to her house. There is no way that Yutaka can tell them that she invited him because she is helping him find his feelings. Even after returning to class, Yutaka is brooding over all the reasoning to go or not go to her house. At the end of the day, he tells her that he cannot come after all. She looks a bit serious as she says that it is up to him if he does not want to come. This makes Yutaka think that he is being affected by other people's reaction once again and tells her that he would come. She excitedly leaves as she tells him that he cannot go back on his words. Yutaka was able to be true to his feelings, but it is the best if he does not look back. The boys look like ghosts right now. After school, Tsumiki is out with her friends at an arcade. Her friends ask if the boy she invited over to her house is her boyfriend. She tells them that he is just a friend. The friends tell her to be careful even if he's a friend. However, Tsumiki is not worried about that. There is no way Yutaka stands a chance against her strength. Saturday is here. Yutaka is waiting for Tsumiki and is nervous about the visit. Tsumiki arrives in casual clothes and Yutaka apologizes to her fans in his mind for being able to see her in casual clothes. Tsumiki shows him a mountain and tell him that is where the werewolves live. They have to climb a mountain to go to her house. Yutaka is exhausted as he climbs the mountain with the help of a stick, while Tsumiki does not look all that affected. She even gets covered in mud because this is unavoidable on a mountain. She claims that she is more careful with her uniform, but Yutaka reminds her that she was covered in mud just the other day. Tsumiki just cannot resist the temptation of a sandwich. They finally reach a big stone where Tsumiki kind of knocks. The stone moves and she enters. The one to move the stone is a big werewolf, but he does not talk. Inside the cave is a whole town. Wolves dig holes to create dens to protect themselves. This must be a remnant of that. Werewolves have the same habits. After Genjin started to be recognized, it progressed to the point that they can go outside. Still, there are not many children who go outside even now. She takes him to her house where everything is scattered, very homely feeling. Yutaka sits on the ground while Tsumiki shows him the socks he gave her as a gift. She is using them as decorations because she would hate to tear them by wearing them. Some kids barge in her room and ask about Yutaka. It seems that Tsumiki has siblings. The second eldest comes after the two younger ones, but it seems it is too late. Tsumiki asks to excuse herself, not looking too pleased. Tsumiki and the third one are competing at stone lifting and wall climbing. The youngest asks Yukata if he is also going to climb the wall, but Yutaka says that he is not going to. There is a limit his legs can bear after all. The second one provokes Yukata somehow when she says that this is not something humans do. The next thing, Tsumiki finds Yutaka climbing a wall. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. After all the playing around, Yutaka is tired. The second eldest approaches him and asks if Tsumiki is doing all right in the outside world. Yutaka seriously tells her that Tsumiki is doing even better than humans are doing. It seems that Tsumiki's younger sister is worried about her. She is more like a human, so everyone relies on her. That is the reason she went outside, is because their parents thought that if she did all right, it would give courage to the other children. She seems to be doing okay on the outside, but no one knows if she is actually okay. Yutaka remembers her say that she is okay with people who are okay with her. This means that there are people who have a problem with her. Despite that, she is still willing to go outside for others. Yutaka is busy digging and finds it rather addicting. Tsumiki tells him that he can open up to her and she would help him find his feelings. Yukata feels bad as he says that she was carrying so much herself and he had to worry her with his problems as well. His speech is quite long, but Tsumiki tells him that she is not carrying anything of sorts. She is living in the outside world not because of others. She is doing it to assert dominance over her sisters. She figured that if they wanted to learn about outside world, she would be able to teach them and they would come to rely on her. She tells him that she would just leave the place if there were something she does not like. So there's no need to feel so anxious when they are together. She asks what he is feeling at the moment, but Yutaka does not reply her as if he were frozen. After a while, he sniffs her, remembering that she told him it meant to get along well. Tsumiki is surprised, but thankfully he comes back to his senses and backs away, while saying that he hopes they can maintain this relationship. Tsumiki tells him that the humans should stick to their human greetings because she was really surprised. Yutaka goes pale on this comment and apologizes frantically. However, Tsumiki does not mind as she also says the same to him before. It's already quite late, so she decides to send him off. The siblings also bid him farewell with strange looks on their faces. Yutaka, who followed the Romans too much, felt guilty till Monday. It is an ordinary day, you cannot help but look forward to it. It is now lunchtime and it is the first time for Yutaka to be at the cafeteria. The cafeteria is packed because of food for humans and Genjin of every type. There are even spaces for the students to eat in privacy. Tsumiki, who is also at the cafeteria, finds him and asks where does he normally eat, as she does not find him in the classroom. Yutaka tells her that he eats his lunch in a hidden spot and Tsumiki wants to see it as well. She even recommends he get the cutlet sandwich as it is only available on Fridays. Yutaka notices her tail swinging excitedly as she talks about the sandwich, but tells her anyway that today is Wednesday. He again notices her tail droop down as well as her mood. He promises to try it next time out of guilt. They are on their way to the hidden place but come across Senga, the vampire who asked Tsumiki for her contact number but got refused. He is with a girl and trying to drink her blood. However, the girl is interested in him and wants to talk first. He angers the girl due to his greed for blood and gets slapped in the face. The girl leaves while crying, but Senga is unaffected and takes out his phone to arrange for a replacement. He is so full of himself even for the second time and praises his beauty from his own mouth. Yutaka is impressed by his confidence, but Tsumiki is not affected by it and proceeds to go forward. Yutaka wants to stop her, but she says that the blood is food for him and it is nice to have variety. A little peek into Senga's phone. The vampires include blood type in front of the contact's name. Senga notices Tsumiki and remembers that she is the one who did not share her contact number. He apologizes while saying that he was hungry that day so was irritated and rude. Nevertheless, he was hurt and she can make it up to him by letting him drink her blood. He says that as a fellow Genjin, she should understand the pain of being hungry. Yutaka thinks that Senga should not be asking for it even if he is hungry, but Tsumiki does not mind because she thinks that one should eat when he has the opportunity to do so. Senga starts drinking her blood, so Yutaka looks the other way. He understands that humans need to eat as well and Genjins must have more inconveniences when it comes to the choice of food they can eat. These feelings are something he cannot understand as a human. Tsumiki notices him lost in thought and calls for him, her face flushed. Yutaka panics after looking at her face and separates the two. He then realizes what he has done and apologizes while prostrating. Senga says that Yutaka should just admit that he was jealous because he did not like what he saw. Yutaka goes pale as he says that it is preposterous. Just because they were getting along well, he did that kind of thing. Senga finds him in pain because he thinks that there is no need for an ordinary human to go through so much turmoil. A girl arrives, so Senga leaves with her and now is the time to have lunch. Yutaka tells himself to not think too much and that Tsumiki is only with him out of kindness. He asks if her neck is alright and Tsumiki tells him that werewolves have great healing ability and shows her neck where there is no evidence of a bite. However, Yutaka hides his face for another reason now. He saw Tsumiki's skin. Even if he did not want to, it became an unforgettable memory. It is now the time for the field trip. Tsumiki, who is naturally outgoing, is very excited about the field trip, but Yutaka does not seem too pleased by this idea. He knows that field trips are meant to deepen the friendship, but he thinks that this is just rushing things. Tsumiki says that they should enjoy and eat delicacies if they end up in the same group. Yutaka agrees, but his negative self thinks that they might not end up in the same group. Tsumiki shows him an advertisement of the food that she wants to try during the field trip. It is the day of the field trip, and they do end up in the same group, fortunately. However, Senga is also in the same group as them, attracting unnecessary attention towards him. The other two members include Tsujumi, a human, and Satu, the invisible man. Nobody minds going anywhere, so Tsumiki takes charge and plans the whole day ahead. Senga wants free time after lunch, so Tsumiki arranges the plan so that there's free time and they can regroup after that. You can feel at ease at an amusement park if Tsumiki is there. They start by taking the rides, and Tsumiki is super nice to the staff of the park. Senga tells her that there is no need to be so nice to them because these people are paid to be nice. This comment makes everyone in a strange mood. Senga tells them that everyone considers pros and cons when interacting with people. For example, he is only with them so that he can avoid girls. Satu tells him to be careful of not gaining more attention than the mascots. However, Senga is confident that he would not lose to an object with human inside it. This is when the shocking news breaks to Tsumiki, because all this time she thought that mascots are real. It is now free time, but Yutaka and Tsumiki stick together because she wants to try the food from the advertisement. She even knows the way to the shop because she did her preparations. After all, this is her first time coming to an amusement park. She has been coming to the outside world since she was a child, but it was never easy to get permission to have fun. She was so excited to come here that she got carried away and planned everything on the paper. She has even decided to come here with her sister someday. Yutaka assumed that she has been here before by the way she acted. He was certain that her friends definitely invited her here before, but it turns out that she was never allowed to come here. It is not possible to do everything on her list, but Yutaka wants her to. Tsumiki tried the food she wanted to try, but the taste is awful. She even says that in front of the shopkeeper and other customers. Yutaka takes her away to help save the business while she keeps commenting how bad it tastes. Yutaka reads her plan and tells her that they are going to ride as many rides as they can. Tsumiki feels touched as she agrees. When they come back to the group, they are super excited. They plan to ride one last ride together with the group and buy souvenirs afterwards. However, Senga is not present, but Tsumiki wanted to ride this one together with the whole group because this ride takes photos. Yutaka takes out his phone to try to call him, but Tsumiji notices him in the crowd. However, Senga has tears in his eyes, and this shocks the whole group present as he says that he is going back home. Something strange has happened to the composed Senga. Stay tuned to find the reason behind those tears. Yutaka has decided to make this day more enjoyable as it is Tsumiki's first time in an amusement park. While they are enjoying it, Senga comes crying there and tells them that he is going home. The word for "I'm going back home" can also mean frog in Japanese, so Tsumiki tries to change the subject forcefully, that Senga is looking for a frog and starts to look for it. Yutaka becomes surprised because he thought that Senga was with his friend and asks Senga about his cause to go home, but Senga starts to cry even harder, so he does not ask him more. He was shocked at what happened to him because Senga is usually confident and accepts his nature as a vampire, but today, he is so depressed. He thinks that maybe it is better to give space to Senga because there are times when you do not want to talk, but they have to take a photo with everyone, so he decides to ask him. So he asks him about the cause and if he is willing to tell because it will be sad if their field trip were to end like this. Senga tells them that the person who he thought that his friend used him. His friend deceived him by luring him to take a look around the park with him. He tells Yutaka all of his depressing thoughts, which make him think that he is so dark and where did that sparkly guy go? Senga tells him that he has many cases like this, but in this school, he thought he had finally made a friend. Due to his vampire nature, girls get attracted to him and guys get jealous that he is used by them. He cannot make a friend whom he can trust. Yutaka thinks about Senga that even though he is always surrounded by the people, he is still lonely. Whether Senga accepts his nature does not mean that he has no worries. Yutaka is happy that Senga went out of his way to tell him everything, so he starts to think about what he can do now for him. But Tsumiki asks him, all stunned, that what about them? They went around the park together, so why doesn't he count them as friends? But Senga refuses. How can he trust them? They just happen to be in the same group. Hearing this, Tsumiki says to him that he is such a pain in his face. Yutaka tries to handle this situation, that it's a complex matter, and he can also have some other circumstances, but Tsumiki says that it is such a great opportunity to make friends. He always doubts everyone, that is why he cannot make any friends. It is strange for him to think that we will betray him. She also says that she gave blood to him, then why are not they friends? Senga says that she gave him blood because she is a girl and fell for him. Tsumiki gets furious and grabs him by his collar to hurry up and make her fall in love with his nature. He has made up his mind without even thinking. He sickens her. Yutaka tries to stop her and tells her Senga is heartbroken, but stops when he sees him looking at her with the eyes of admiration. Tsumiki asks him to hurry up and make her fall in love. Senga tells her that he is doing it. His scent of temptation is always active. Strangely, she has not fallen for him yet. Even when he sucked her blood, and even now when they are so close, she still has not fallen for him. He also tells her that perhaps she has already fallen in love with him deep down, but she refuses it. Hearing her refuse makes Senga so happy, and she calls him cringe. It makes him happier that no one has ever called him cringe. People have always said good things about him, so it is refreshing for him to hear the opposite. They all get on the last ride with Senga tagging along. 3 of them take a photo together. Senga admires himself that he is so photogenic and asks Tsumiki if it makes her heart flutter. She asks him if he is still worried about that. She asks him how is he on their bus when he is not in their class. He tells them he made them swap his seat. Having a snack with his friends on the bus has always been his dream, so he asks them to make it come true. They share a snack. He also gives snacks to Yutaka, so it shocks Yutaka. Senga tells Yutaka that he is so insensitive to love and that they can be friends. Yutaka finds it rude. He tries to tell him, but someone calls Senga and he gets distracted. Tsumiki tells him to tell Senga that he did not like what he said just now, but he says that it is all right. Yutaka asks her if she intends to make friends. He expected her to leave Senga if she thought that he was a bother. She was cold to him because it was better for him. But suddenly Senga interrupts them. He lets it go thinking that maybe he is overthinking it, but Tsumiki bumps her shoulder to his shoulder and signs him to keep quiet in her reflection in the mirror. Yutaka thinks that she is so cool. While sitting in the class, Yutaka is confused because Tsumiki is showing a grim expression, but her tail is swinging, indicating that she is happy and excited. She mumbles about the sports, and Yutaka finally gets the gist that she is thinking about the upcoming gym class. Kiki High School has many large fields. Physical education classes are joint classes, so many Genjin can gather together. The human students can choose to participate, observe, or just study independently. But according to Yutaka, there is no way people can feel at ease while being watched. So he considers different positions to observe in secret, but worries that some people hate being watched in secret. He decides to ask about it to Tsumiki, but runs into a girl who was passing by. Both of them apologize to each other, but it turns out that the girl is Tsujumi, the girl from the field trip group. Senga also arrives from the behind, picks up a paper that she just dropped. As soon as Tsujumi sees this, she decides to disappear from the planet itself. It turns out that she is a fan of Genjins. Yutaka tries to console her that there are a lot of people interested in Genjin, so there's no need to worry. However, Senga reminds him that he is also just like her in times of panic. The 2 people interested in Genjins but afraid to disturb anyone start their blabber and end up irritating Senga. He tells them that if their intentions are good, then everything is fine. The both of them feel touched, but Senga's dark side comes out as he says that the good intention itself is disgusting. Tsumiki is playing baseball and is on the pitch with a bat. The Genjin bowling is an octopus type. Tsumiki gets the ball and is reaching home run, but a bird-type Genjin fielder catches the ball midair. The group of 3 from before is watching the match from the side. Yutaka and Tsujumi realize that the Genjins really do not care about being watched. The 3 also notice that not only Tsumiki is going all out in the field, but also is very energetic. Yutaka comments that she looks like she's having fun. Senga suggests to join the match, but Yutaka thinks that the people who should be in the match should be the ones who are capable and serious. Tsumiki notices him and comes towards him. She is actually here to ask for advice because the Genjins on the other side have a solid defense. She asks Tsujumi for advice as well, but the fan she is, Tsujumi starts panicking. Tsumiki brightens her mood and Tsujumi shows her notes about the other team. Yutaka and Tsujumi both help to work on a strategy. When it is time to go, Tsumiki hugs the 2 of them as she can see herself winning already. Yutaka tells her that she has not won yet, but she is confident that she can do it and tells him to watch closely. Tsujumi and Yutaka devise a plan for Tsumiki, who goes all out in the basketball field. But they start worrying about their plan after she goes to play the match. Tsujumi considers herself someone who collects data on Genjin as a hobby, and Yutaka is worried because he has watched just a couple of games and ended up meddling. What if Tsumiki ends up losing because of their wrong information? Senga tries to alleviate their anxiety by saying it's just PE class and they are overthinking. Tsumiki has told them to watch over her. Some girls recognize Senga and surround him. They go close to the playfield to watch Tsumiki's match with Senga covering his face with his shirt. An octopus girl plans against Tsumiki. It would be Tsumiki's comeback if she wins, but she won't let it happen. She wants to confuse Tsumiki, that even if she can moderate her strength, she will go at full power if she gets irritated. Tsumiki recalls her plan with Yutaka and others, where Yutaka asks her if she is launching a ball this time. There is nothing wrong with it, but he further says by pinpointing an illustration of the field that there is a large part of the outfield, which is entrusted to the bird girl. If she launches the ball, the opponents will trust Bird to catch it. Tsujumi adds her opinion that is the reason outfielders are moving forward. Tsumiki, a werewolf, is powerful, and they expect the ball to fly away. Yutaka also agrees they probably prefer that over her hitting it strangely and resulting in a ground ball. It would be challenging to catch a rolling ball by jumping or leaping. The scene shifts to the present, where the octopus girl throws a ball and Tsumiki throws back it in a vertical swing instead of launching, which is surprising to opponents. Others cannot catch the ball on time, and Tsumiki makes a run from home running. Tsujumi and Yutaka are glad about it and cheer for her. Tsumiki is also fast when running, but when she is halfway in her path, Bird Girl picks the ball and throws with full speed, saying she will not let Tsumiki score. Tsumiki recalls another plan of Yutaka. He did know what would happen next. If unexpected happened, she could buy time. He devised a plan thinking if it is Tsumiki, it will work out. She runs, and when she's about to reach a home base, she slides onto the ground and places her hand on the position. But at the same time, the ball catcher catches a ball, and there is confusion if it's out or safe. There is dust flying, and nothing can be seen. When it clears out, they see Tsumiki's nails touching the home base, and she gets so excited. The ones who support her are all glad, and she gives all credit to Tsujumi and Yutaka. She waves her hand, asking if he saw it. He agrees with waving his hand and laughs charmingly. She brings all her friends and Yukata close to make a victory toss. After the match, they walk back to the school building with Tsuniki walking ahead and others behind. Tsujumi appreciates Tsumiki, that she was super cool. Out of all Genjin, she must have the highest physical specs. Even the gust of wind has barely fazed her. Tsumiki turns back and tells Tsujumi to make sure to write down that Tsumiki made a home run score against the team of Genjin, and also she took the home base. When Tsumiki is about to touch her face, Yukata stops her hand. It looked like to him she was about to scratch herself. He supposes having a high healing ability let her grow 2 nails that were stuck in the home base. She has long nails. She immediately hides her hand behind her and tells him not to look as it's embarrassing for her. She wonders if there's a nail cutter in the nurse's office. Tsujumi wants to check it there with her. Senga and Yutaka are confused about the complex criteria that she does not care about her messy hair and being covered in sand. It is the first time first years are having cooking class. Tsumiki seems very irritated, and Yutaka asks her if she's okay. She tells him it is a little itchy. Her fur sheds more easily when summer approaches, so she has to wear ear covers properly. Octopus Girl arrives and asks him if he can handle a spot where there is a lot of water because she's afraid of electricity. He goes there thinking that depending upon the Genjin's nature and constitution, there are still a lot of inconveniences. Tsumiki arrives there, making him attentive by letting him see her hand glove with fingers ripped off. He asks her if she tore them, and she proudly says that the cover says these gloves are compatible with sharp nails, and she tore them, which means she is stronger than them. Yutaka is surprised that she is even competing with gloves. The cooking session begins. She picks the egg in her hands and grabs it to break the eggshell, and then pours it into a bowl. Yutaka advises her it might be better to crack an egg on the counter first. She agrees and breaks the egg on the counter. Next, he asks her to handle the mixing, and she starts mixing contents with high speed. She guides her in mixing, and when it becomes lumpy, he asks her to add flour. He says her to make cookies, and for that makes her roll a dough. She does it, and then makes shapes, but they turn out to be so flattened. She gets exhausted and crouches down on the ground. Yukata takes over and tells her when he is done with them. She had no idea cooking was so delicate. She had told her siblings she would bring home sweets. Yukata tells her to get some as they have made it together, but Tsumiki has self-respect. She wants to do something, otherwise she will not deserve to be an older sister. She goes home, and even though she lies about sweets, they see through her. The next morning, she grabs cooking ingredients and goes to school, where in the classroom, Yukata observes that she has a bag of ingredients and she is not focusing on her lecture due to reading something. The class teacher calls her name to ask a question from the lecture, but when she is about to apologize, Yutaka speaks and gives him an answer. He supports her by letting her see the book page where they are at. He offers his help by asking her to let him know if he can lend her a hand. In the cooking room, she bakes some cookies where some are not burnt out, and seeing them cooked up, she gets glad. While taking out the tray, her fingers get burnt, and she hopes they heal quickly. She packs cookies in a bag, thinking, for fine as these are enough for her siblings. While going home, she sees Yukata in class and asks him if he has detention. He tells her he has day duty and there is a mountain of tasks from the teacher. She goes inside and sits, saying he is hard at work. He asks her if she were able to make cookies, and she agrees and shows them to him, saying they are looking good. He sees her hands burnt and takes out some bandages to have her them. She says these burns will heal in no time, and in reply, he says burns will heal, but her efforts will not disappear. He hangs back, saying a band-aid might not be a good idea if it is a burn. She asks him to go ahead. She has not used one before. She sits on the chair right after him with her hand-arm putting back on his table, where he peels the cover and applies a band over her burns. As a thanks, she gives him a cookie as she has an extra one. She goes out blushing after giving it, while he thinks she has worked so hard making it. At home, her siblings ask her if she's in a good mood or if something has happened, but she declines. Ogami almost makes it in time for school and is happy about her perfect attendance because she is aiming for the perfect attendance award. On her way to class, she notices a crow on the school rooftop. Upon closer inspection, she finds that the crow has snatched Murri's special glasses. Now this is a problem because Murri is Medusa, with snakes for hair and eyes that can turn anyone to stone if she ever looks at someone. She is a good person and warns Ogami to stay away from her. However, Ogami tries to get her glasses back but fails. So the homeroom for their class changes to an activity to get Murray's glasses back. She apologizes for the trouble and thanks everyone for their cooperation. She can design a full plan to get her glasses back. Ogami, on the other hand, is determined to catch that crow that flew away from her clutches. Murri becomes the in charge of search operation. As the crows like to collect shiny things, she hands shovels to everyone and asks them to work in a group of 2. She's operating so meticulously, even without her glasses. Shikon gives Ogami the gloves because she does not want her hands to be chapped. This act makes Yutaka wonder if she is her mom. Yutaka notices Murri moving her hands to search something, so he helps her, but this act startles her, making the snakes on her head aggressive. Yutaka apologizes, but Murri tells him that the snakes get aggressive when she is surprised and asks for his understanding. Yutaka understands their nature now and apologizes. Ogami, on the other hand, is also fired up to find the crow. The reason is her personal grudge towards the crow that stole her cutlet sandwich. Ogami and Yutaka are doing their best to find the glasses when Senga arrives at the scene. They tell them the situation and Ogami asks for his help. However, the class is opposed to his help and calls Ogami to their side as if protecting her from the wolf, despite her being a wolf herself. It is almost time for the next class, so Murri tells them to head back, but they say to keep searching until the last minute because of the urgency of the matter. Murri is touched by the fact that everyone is doing their best for her sake and wants to look at their effort. She is even afraid that she would not be able to see their faces again. Ogami finds the crow and goes after it. She's able to get the classes back but slips from the tree. However, she remains safe because of her wolf reflexes and Yutaka under her. A safe landing was obvious for Ogami, but Yutaka rushed to save her anyway. The glasses have returned to its owner and she wears them. She is shy but thanks everyone for their help. Later, Ogami calls for Yutaka and rubs her head, telling him that his catch was nice. Yutaka smiles and says that he totally missed the catch. It is raining, but this is a good day for Murri the Medusa. It is the right amount of humid for her and she likes the sound of the rain. However, her snakes does not like to get wet, so she needs to care for them. She arrives at the gate of the school where she receives a message that the school is off today due to the weather. She is already here, so she was inside, but she is not the only one to arrive. Ogami is also in the school, but she is wet and dirty. She is the raincoat type and likes to play in the rain. Her condition suggests that she had a lot of fun playing in the rain. The reason that she ended up here is because she does not look at her phone occasionally. She is really soaked, so Murri tries to drive her off using the towel. Ogami proceeds to take off her clothes for drying, but Murri stops her because they are still in the hallways. Yutaka also arrives at the school, but Murri commands him to stop right there. He gets so shocked at the command that his mind and body freezes at the stop and he does not know for how long does he need to stop here. In the girls' locker room, Ogami is drying her clothes. Murri tells her to be more restrained and think before she acts. The reason for her to say this is because she thinks that the humans and Genjin are too different in their bodies and values. So they should not be acting freely even if they are adjusting well with the humans for now. Ogami listens to her well, remains silent for some time, and then leaves. Yutaka finds Murri in the classroom, flickering her snake-like tongue with other snakes. When she notices Yutaka, she apologizes for displaying something like that. Yutaka apologizes for startling her. Murri asks about Ogami and tells him about her lecture from before. She is ashamed for being so forward and thinks that Ogami is angry at her. Yutaka tells her that Ogami is cool and kind and Gat is her charm. He is also sure that Ogami had some other reason for leaving like that, so the both of them follow the water tracks to find her. Ogami is found in the sewing room and looks her usual self, not angry at all. She even apologizes for leaving like that, but she had to leave because the rain was getting heavier. She made clothes for the snakes by using her new socks because she noticed the snakes hiding away due to rain and thunder. Ogami then thanks Murri for warning her and worrying about her. She is always spoiling her, so Ogami wanted to return the favor. Just then, the teacher arrives and tells the three of them to head home. Murri says that today is a good day and freely walks in the rain while Ogami holds the umbrella over her head. Yutaka watches the two of them and thinks that they get along well. Michi Sugumi is someone who has always admired Genjin. She recently joined the newspaper club and is currently tasked with interviewing the Genjin. The students who attend the Keiki High School are all positive about the relations between humans and Genjin. And Michi is grateful that they answered her every question happily. Today is the day that Michi is able to interview the person she stands the most, a werewolf, Tsumiki Ogami. She is popular, cheerful, and friendly. So Michi was sure that Ogami would greet her with a bright smile on her face, but what she finds is quite the opposite. Ogami is whining, a rare scene indeed. When Michi asks the reason, Ogami tells her that Yutaka has fallen sick and is absent from school today. Michi can understand that the wolves care greatly for their packs, hence this mood of Ogami. Despite that, Ogami is happy to give an interview and asks what they are going to talk about. Mishi tells her that they cannot follow the conversation routine of interviews because the Genjins are so different from one another, like the famous vampire Senga and his scent of temptation. Ogami tells her about the time she shared her blood with Senga and got healed immediately due to her super healing abilities. Mishi is shocked to find about it and asks about the location he took a bite at. Ogami tells her that he bit her on her neck and she did not mind it because he looked hungry. Mishi curses Senga for biting a vital organ of Ogami. Their conversation is going on when a boy comes to ask about Yutaka. He is here to return a dictionary that he borrowed from Yutaka and leaves it on his desk. Then another student comes to give some candy as a thanks for helping. After some of these arrivals, Yutaka's desk is full of stuff. It may be due to his nature to help everyone in need. Finally, the class president arrives to give the notes to Ogami so that she can deliver them at Yutaka's house. Ogami arrives at Yutaka's house and a small girl opens the door. She is Yutaka's younger sister Yu and tells Ogami that their parents are not home. She then runs inside, telling his brother that his friend is here. Yutaka crawls from the first floor and tells Yu to not come up. He sees Ogami and tells her to leave the printouts near the door because he has been told to not come down due to his fever. Ogami suggests to come up instead because she has high immunity and cannot get sick. Yutaka gives his permission, so she comes in. In Yutaka's room, Ogami proceeds to give him the printouts and the stuff people left on his desk. Yutaka seems kind of spaced out and is not thinking too much about the personal space. Ogami notices this difference and thinks of it as a result of the fever. Yutaka wants to grab something from the upper shelf and Ogami offers help. However, Yutaka tells her that he can do that himself. Ogami finds it surprising and helps him anyway, saying that he should ask for help when he needs it. Yutaka asks for another favor to stick the cooling sheets on his head and neck. He also instructs her about each step because he knows that she never used them herself. Ogami follows the instructions and sticks the cooling sheets on his forehead and neck while thinking about Mishi's words that these are vital spots and must be exposed in front of trusted persons only. Once she is done with the deed, Ogami is bright red and says that she is going back home. Even on her way back, she is still thinking about the awkwardness in that moment. Tsumiki is super excited because tomorrow is the most awaited Keiki High Sports Festival, and as the athletic committee member, she has to encourage her blue team, but all the excitement turns gruesome when her sharp fingernail screeches against the blackboard, and she is the one most affected by the shrilling sound. In late May, the first biggest event of the first semester is the Keiki High Sports Festival. Even the general public is welcomed as spectators. The food stalls from the school cafeteria are highly popular as well. And of course, the intent is to deepen the relations between Genjin and the humans, or so it says on the school website. But it is a festival nevertheless, so Yutaka is looking forward to the fun part of it. Right now, he has a box of decorations while he is strolling the school grounds when Tsumiki calls him, hanging on the tree like a monkey. She is on a tree working on the decorations, but she advises Yutaka to go home soon and save his strength for the main event. Yutaka tells her that the sensei asked him to bring the decorations in case there were not enough. Tsumiki comes down because she needs some flags from the decorations. She asks Yutaka if he's feeling alright now because he has to start practicing for the sports festival right after recovering from the cold. He says that he is feeling fine and also thanks her for the printouts that she brought for him. Tsumiki notices that the flags are all tangled and seems like Yutaka has also noticed as he starts untangling the flags while telling her that his memories are spotty from back then, but he feels like he was spoiled way too much. He thinks that there is a big difference between relying on someone and being pampered, so he apologizes for his behavior. However, Tsumiki does not mind as she thinks that the event brought out the kind of feelings she wanted to find together. And since tomorrow is the sports festival, she is sure that there will be so many different kinds of feelings, so she is determined to find Yutaka's feelings. Yutaka thanks her even though he thinks that those feelings were only there because Tsumiki gave them to him. On his way home, a message from Itsudo freezes his heart that reads that they will be coming to the sports festival. The whole school is packed during the sports festival. Murri has been chosen as the sports representative this year as well, so she's giving the introduction speech. Even Tsumiki is impressed by her confidence, but it all goes in vain when Murri bites her tongue in the middle of the speech. After the speech, the team asks if she is alright, but Murri does not seem to have been affected by the blunder earlier as she is still in a serious mood. The team is once again impressed by her unfazed self and confidence. Tsumiki gathers everyone to circle up but notices that Yutaka is spacing out, so she calls for him individually as well. Tsumiki grabs him and circles up next to him, but the class boys are not happy about it. And with that reason, the charging before the games was done, for whatever reason. Though the passion might be directed towards the end of Yutaka. For the sports festival, the teams are divided into red, blue, and yellow. The matches start, so Tsumiki invites Yutaka to watch together from the front rows. The first member of the blue team is Kura, who is a Kraken-type Genjin. Tsumiki says that with all her arms, the obstacle should be no problem for her, but the first obstacle is the net, and she gets netted very badly. The next one is Sud-kun, who is an invisible man. He always dresses up so people can see his location. The next game is the candy hunt. They have to blow away the powder to find the candies, but Sud-kun took it to the next level by eating the candies. The last in the line is Hayori-chan, who is a birdman-type Genjin. Tsumiki reminds her that flying is not allowed in this area, so she has to jump with all her might. The next competition is bread eating competition. Hayori-chan jumps easily, munches on the bread, and runs towards the finishing line. The first place in these competitions is earned by the blue team, so they celebrate for the good start. So this is the Keiki High's famous sports festival, but Yutaka wonders if they are choosing all the bog's standard events intentionally. However, the sensei is content that nothing out of the ordinary happened so far. Tsumiki invites Yutaka for the next event as they are in it together, but they are stopped by two girls who threaten Tsumiki with a sting. Yutaka and Tsumiki have no idea who they are, but the boys are excited to see the two in front of them. One of them is a half-mermaid, Kaiba Kanami-chan, who has 150,000 followers on the TikTok. Any video she uploads goes viral because she's a hot beauty who acts cool. Yutaka can feel the heat emitting from the guys on her mention. The second one is the unicorn Roman Umami-chan with 130,000 followers on Insight. Her soothing, gentle voice makes her Insight live talks super popular. She is so soft and fluffy that the boys are now rapturing. But the boys have not forgotten about the endangered species No, a protected national species, who has no interest in social media. Her innocence hits hard because the one they are crying about is the werewolf Tsumiki Ogami-chan. The boys are stoked to see the complete collection of Keiki High First Year's 3 great beauties. It is so dazzling that they worry that it is only morning and things have already peaked. Kanami grabs Tsumiki's hand and squeezes hard, saying that she's been seriously waiting for the day she can fight her head-on, and since today is the sports festival, she can sting her all she wants. Yutaka notices that Kanami's eyes go crazy and she is kind of scary right now. Surprisingly, Tsumiki is on the defensive as she asks Kanami to let go of her hand. Umami is enjoying the show between the two, so Yutaka asks her what's going on, but she is also super scary because she's up to stabbing him for talking to her. Tsumiki does not know what's going on. Umami calls Kanami a battle freak when she herself found it interesting, so she came to take a look. On the other hand, Kanami says that she is here to declare the war. She threatens Tsumiki that she is going to crush her. Tsumiki is aiming for the victory of the blue team. It is her first sports festival after entering the Keiki High School, but the two assassins stand in her way. What are they scheming? Next is Keiki High's famous event, the freshman chasing ball toss. Each team leader would have a basket on their back. They need to run around and avoid letting balls go in. The event area is a special stage original to Keiki High School. Everyone needs to use their physical abilities to their full potential. The team with the least number of balls in their basket would be the winner, so the leader of the blue, red, and the yellow groups are ready with their baskets. It seems like Shijumi is also a fan of the 3 leaders, as she wishes that she had another pair of eyes to witness this chance of a life. Of course, Tsumiki is her favorite, but today, she's on Umami's team, so she encourages Yutaka to do their best. Their attention is diverted by the mention of a punishment game. Kanami is the one to suggest that the loser has to do whatever the winner says because it would sting more that way. Umami comments that Kanami is such a thrill, but Tsumiki is also on fire as she accepts the challenge. On the other hand, Yutaka is worried for Tsumiki and asks if she really gets what Kamani just said. The only thing that Tsumiki can think of as something bad is skipping lunch. However, both Kanami and Umami say that they would not ask her to do that. They had already decided what they want but would not tell her now for the sake of suspense. Kanami tells her to look forward to it after she loses. Tsumiki tells her off by saying that she is talking like she has already won. And finally, the chasing ball toss has started. Yellow team is in the first place. Umami's fleetness of foot means that nobody can get a ball in. Umami is doing her best for Tsumiki's punishment game, actually. The red team is in the second place because Kanami is not running away but throwing away the balls that come towards her. At one point, she feels drained, so she asks for the bottle of water and pours it all over her. She is now refreshed and chases after Tsumiki. Yutaka is confused like most of us, but Tsujimi kindly informs them that the bottle contains seawater. It's Kanami's mermaid nature that she gets powered up when she bathes in seawater. On the other hand, without it, she starts feeling sick, like dried fish. Yutaka finally understands that the fastball she is throwing is all thanks to the power up, but the curves are too much, so he warns Tsumiki to dodge them. However, Tsumiki is catching all the balls coming towards her and is even getting all excited about it. Hence, the blue team is firmly in the last place. The announcement of the last place gets her out of the excitement and she starts running away. Kanami catches up to her and tells her to stop running. Tsumiki tells her that this is a running game and asks why is she the one to throw balls. Kanami says that it is okay since no one told them to not throw the balls. She says that it is no fun if she does not fight as hard as she can. Tsumiki gets down from the net, surprising Kanami of her speed. She grabs the net once again and tosses the ball into Kanami's basket, saying that they need to play on the same playing field. She wants to sting after all. The new challenge gets Kanami all excited as she agrees with Tsumiki. No one has ever seen a match like this where the two team leaders are in an incredible battle for points. They are even running out of time, but the other students cannot possibly keep up with those two sport lunatics. Yutaka is curious about the yellow team and he finds their leader Yumami taking a break with Tsujimi because she is also tired. She says that even though Kanami is a battle freak, she has so much strength and power that nobody can play with her till she is satisfied and most people just give up without even trying. Yutaka also remembers how both of them got excited for the game. Yumami continues and says that Kanami has always been looking for a friend who can play with her to the finish. Yutaka agrees that they both are incredible. Kanami falls on her face, so Tsumiki runs to ask if she's okay. Kanami admits that this is the first time that she has played till she was tuckered out and that was the best sting ever. Both Yumami and Tsumiki smile fondly at her, but Yumami manages to throw a ball in Tsumiki's basket in the last second. She says that carelessness is the last boss, so Tsumiki loses the match. After the great battle, they take a commemorative photo and Tsumiki's punishment game is that she needs to make a dance video with Kanami. Tsujimi is super excited that Tsumiki would be in a dance video, and it would become a collector's edition. Yutaka feels kind of uneasy about it, but Yumami has already started the recording. Kanami tells Tsumiki to get started while she does not get all the notes but still crushes the performance. It is so much cute that Yumami wants to upload it and asks for Tsumiki's permission. Tsumiki does not mind and Yumami loves how fast she switches the gears. Kanami also uploads the video with the hashtag dancingwithmycomrade. The video is blowing up as soon as it is uploaded and Yumami thinks that it might even do better than the one Kanami did alone. Tsujimi is blown away by the godlike video, but when Yutaka wants to take a look, Tsumiki says that he does not need to take a look. So there was a lot of buzz. The dance video is a hot topic, but Tsumiki announces that it is finally lunch time, and that is the most fired up she has been today. She wants to hit the food stalls with Yutaka because they have got the cutlet sandwiches, but when Yutaka tells her that he bought a packed lunch, she tells him that she would buy her lunch and then they would eat together. Yutaka's phone rings, so he goes away to listen to it. He laughs cheerfully as he replies that he has been just too busy with the sports festival and he would be there if he could. During the call, Senga the vampire, who is passing by, watches him laugh and sigh when the call ends. Senga calls him creepy as he watches Yutaka's character go weird. Keiki High Sports Festival is heading into the second half. While everyone else was eating lunch, there was a very weird Yutaka, but only Senga was able to witness it. Yutaka politely asks him to forget what he saw. Senga thumbs up as he mimics Yutaka's smile to say that he is totally forgetting it, and it is all forgotten. Yutaka thought that he would be able to speak more casually now, but in an instant, it was just like before. Senga cringes hard as he settles down next to Yutaka and tells him that he finally got in his way to eat politely, so he should stop being so dark and annoying. Senga then pulls out a blood pack from the box to Yutaka's surprise. Senga tells him that his blood pack arrived today. Even though blood donations are vital for medical treatment, nowadays if you apply you can get a Genjin allowance. But these are not a lot available, and since Senga has his temptations, his applications tend to be rejected all because they figured that he does not have any problem getting blood. So this is the single precious pack he received because of his school application. Yutaka gets that the blood pack is extremely valuable, but Senga tells him to not pull that pitying look since only Yutaka can understand his own problems like Senga can understand how difficult it is to be him. In order to eat enough, he needs to always put on the act of the idol Senga. There is so much blood he can take from one person, so he decided to be everybody's Senga. He tells Yutaka that he was playing that character just now because there is some merit in it, so if he is doing it because he needs to then, he should not sigh about it. At least that is what Senga thinks. Everyone gets along with each other on a profit and loss basis. Senga then wonders what are the merits of Yutaka to hang out with him, especially since he sucked Tsumiki's blood back then. He assumes that of course Yutaka would hold a grudge. He has not sucked from her since then, but she's obviously special to Yutaka. For him, it was just a meal, but Yutaka is a human, so he must really be plotting something. Senga thought that Yutaka was thick enough to be his friend, but he guesses that it was also an act. So Senga gets up and leaves without saying anything. Yutaka also returns to the field to find Kanami all fired up, who is telling her teammates to change the tug-of-war lineup. That is the next event, but Kanami says that they win in a blink of an eye when they practice, so she wants to sting it more. However, the team says that they are missing a person to begin with because it does not look like Senga is coming, and even if he shows up, he would not even try. It is ironic that Senga is listening to all of this and thinks that it is not good. He has only got the one, but even though thought of going out there, even from the back, it would still be in his temptation range, and it would take too long, so he decides to get out of there. But Tsumiki catches him and asks if he is going to join since he has already entered the field. Senga tells her that he is not going to and tells her to not get too close to him as she would make Yutaka pissy. Tsumiki says that Yutaka is a nice guy, but Senga says that a lot of these seemingly nice and harmless guys turn out to be psychopaths. Tsumiki uses her super hearing when Senga says that Yutaka is now talking to his class who knows what he is plotting. Tsumiki tells him that Yutaka said that Senga would come. Senga thinks for a while and says that is a bit weird for him to suddenly speak up like that to the enemy team, so Tsumiki feels offended and tells Senga that he can trust Yutaka. It is now time for the tug-of-war competition. So far, the yellow team is in the first place. This afternoon, there is another heated battle taking place. It is a three-way tug-of-war between all freshmen. The first team to pull the ring out of the tapped-out area would be the winner. So on the count of 2, the competition starts. The 3 teams give it their all, and Kanami is excited to know that Senga joined the game as well. Sujumi is shocked that they could even out the balance of power to this extent. When they enrolled, they all had their physical stats measured, so the school used those stats when they divided them into classes. She admits that Keiki High is amazing as they have balanced things so perfectly. Yumami finds it so Sugimi, such a useful exposition dump in such a heated moment. Both Tsumiki and Yutaka also noticed that Senga joined the game and remember the time when they were looking for Murri's glasses and Senga came to them. Even though he said that he could not and did not want to help them, he still kept looking in the bushes to find the glasses. On the other hand, Senga really does not want to do this, especially at such a big school event with so many people, and it is really hard on him physically. But he also questions why Yutaka did not just give up on him, as there was no merit for him in making a place for Senga. He realizes that this is not just about making profit and loss, so he uses his full power to pull the rope, making other teams pull towards him as well. And with this, the yellow team wins, gaining one more step towards the overall victory. Yumami is so done with this sports event, while Kanami is sure that they are going to win. But the yellow team is very strong and it became impossible since Senga joined. The star of the game is not feeling too good. With his constitution and only that much blood, he knew he would get amnesia. Even his hands are chapped and he gets a true taste of tug-of-war. To his surprise, both Tsumiki and Yutaka find him and offer their arms, with Yutaka asking if he can drink blood from a dude and Tsumiki saying that drinking from her arm is okay. Yutaka reminds Tsumiki that she still has got more events to participate in, but so does Yutaka. Both of them show intense expressions that say pick me, but Senga refuses. He has decided to not drink the blood of his friends or the people precious to them. The two of them do not understand what he is saying, so Senga calls them too dense. The Keiki High Sports Festival is nearing its end, and there are only a few events left, so teachers encourage everyone to give their best till the end. The yellow team has a heck of a lot more points, so the last relay suddenly got really important, and the blue team has to score really high on that. The blue team cheers for their relay team, but one important member, Tsumiki, is missing. She is actually image training with quite an aura. In her image training, she is running in place and got to the finish line and even won the whole thing. She is more fired up than usual because she wants to win the festival. The blue team of Year 1 Class 1, this is the only time they will ever have it, so she wants the blue team to win this one. The whole team group hugs in appreciation. Some guys appear on the scene saying that Genjin swarming around everywhere is chaos. One of them notices the werewolf girl from the viral video, and they suddenly want to snap a pic. A boy in black recognizes Yutaka, who greets him with great panicked enthusiasm. Yutaka pushes them away from Tsumiki, while the boy in black tells his friends that Yutaka is a neighbor he went to school with. He tells Yutaka that he is as crazy hyped as ever, and that he has never seen him in their neighborhood group chat at all. He is surprised that Yutaka went to the Keiki High and asks if he actually likes Genjin. Yutaka loudly interrupts the guy and gets told off for being super loud. The guy still wants to talk about Genjin, but Yutaka loudly interrupts him once again and says that he's on a journey to find himself. It was the feeling like now is the time, that is what came to him. He wanted to change and kind of saw Kiki's pamphlet. At that time, it felt right, but he just laughed it off and could not tell anyone. His explanation seems to have worked, as the guy in black asks if he is going to participate in the relay and tells Yutaka to do his best to make them laugh. Yutaka thinks that in the end, it was the same as ever, while Tsumiki gazes at the confused Yutaka. The next match is what everyone has been waiting for. It is the borrowing race. Obstacles have been set up in front of the goals, so participants have to choose what they borrow wisely and aim for victory. They have to be sure that what they borrow matches the theme, because they would be checking their borrowed items at the check station. The blue team's first runner is ready, while the audience converses that it is said that if you get picked as the item in Kiki's borrowing game, there is a high likelihood the pair become a couple. The boys see it as a chance to start dating Tsumiki, so they start hoping. One of them loudly tells Tsumiki that if she gets some rude guy as her theme, she should pick him, while the others start silently hoping for their species to be the theme. Yutaka is sitting alone in the back, thinking if he could just talk honestly about this with someone when Tsumiki approaches him. She grabs him and throws him on her shoulders while informing him that he has been borrowed. The boys are angry at the display of favoritism and question if he actually fits the topic, because that is what really matters. Tsumiki flashes the paper at the checkpoint and the sensei confirms while fangirling. The boys can totally see her elementary youth expression all over her face. However, the audience is confused as to why Tsumiki is carrying him. Well, according to the rules she heard earlier, she is supposed to bring the item and so she is just doing that. Tsumiki is a very straightforward person, so everyone just hopes that Yutaka would be okay. After the yellow team, the blue team's runner comes in second. Tsumiki tells Yutaka that the people who have finished are supposed to sit down, but he is not in a good shape right now. She hands him the theme paper, but Yutaka still does not understand why she chose him. Tsumiki explains that his childhood friend came earlier. He came here to spend time with the Yutaka he remembers, but she thinks that she would not be able to do it. She would have just left. Habits, characteristics, she's got a lot that makes it hard to fit in. If she starts holding back, then there is no end to it. But to Yutaka, even if it hurts, he's trying his hardest to make sure nobody else feels bad. In that way, he is living the best he can, so he is just like the theme, a cool person. Yutaka is touched and thanks her. Borrowing race results are out, and first the yellow team, second the blue team, and third the red team. So yellow team keeps their lead. They are asked to return the theme papers, but Yutaka asks if he can keep his one. Upon affirmation, he thanks the teacher. Now that he thinks about it, since meeting Tsumiki, it has been such a whirlwind. He did not have time to get in his head over things, but she helped him. She wants the blue team to win. So when the guy in black comes to say to not embarrass himself, Yutaka calmly says that they are going to win. The final event of the relay starts with a bang and the participants start running. The audience is excited to finally get boys and girls, Genjin and human mixed race. A no-nonsense event where only the speed of your feet matter. The freshman relay gives enough points to close the point difference. If the blue team does not win this one, they would not get the overall victory. The anchors are amazingly strong, with Tsumiki, ultra-competitive Kanami, and the fastest runner among the freshmen, Umami. They need to gain as much of a lead as possible before the anchors. Yutaka is looking focused and serious as he remembers the time he first got introduced to the guy in black at Atsudo. Yutaka's family just moved in the neighborhood and he was in the same grade school as Atsudo. When the class was bothering Yutaka with too many personal questions, Atsudo was the one to tell them to shut up. Before long, Yutaka started admiring him, the straightforward Atsudo. He even told his mother that Atsudo just says what is on his mind. At that time, his mother told him that Atsudo's family has it really tough right now, so he should be there for him when he needs help. Yutaka did not understand, but still agreed. Atsudo had great reflexes, was fast on his feet, and he would run every day. Yutaka asked if he really loved running since he is practicing every day. Atsudo said that it is because he does not have to think about anything when he is running. Little by little, something changed. Atsudo quit track and field club, and when his other friends asked if his family was okay with it, Yutaka interrupted loudly, earning himself a scolding from Atsudo for being too loud. Yutaka did not know what to do. All he could do was try to make sure that it did not get too bad. He wanted to consult his mother, but she was too busy with his little sister, so he offered his help. He finally consulted his teacher, who said that he would keep an eye out. But when Yutaka asked what he should do, the teacher asked him to keep doing what he is doing right now because they are pretty good friends, even though they are nothing alike. Yutaka did not get it to keep this up forever. Finally, when he was filling the career survey, she had no idea what to write, but Atsudo spitefully said that it was easy since Yutaka must have a dream or something he wants to do. Atsudo said that he has been blessed, so he should not pretend like he has got nothing. Yutaka hated this, and he hated himself, but he cannot forget them, the memories of all the fun times, and with Atsudo, the person he admired right here, he does not want to pretend like those never happened. Atsudo can see a glimpse of past as he watches Yutaka run the relay and finds it annoying. On the corner, it is blue, red, and then yellow, so Tsumiki is super excited with everyone cheering for Yutaka. But then, everyone on the track fall, surprising everyone. The track is actually frozen over due to the snowmen sitting near the track. The water source came from Kanami's power-up bath. Yutaka hurt his foot, but there is still a ways to Tsumiki, and if he cannot move, they would not win. Tsumiki calls to him and asks if he can move. Yutaka moves and passes the baton to her, and with the baton pass, the blue team is back in front with red team also taken off. The last to pass the baton is the yellow team, but Umami is not bothered since there is no way that she can lose this. So the yellow team is catching up fast, with Umami's Naruto running. The heat of the tournament increases as the three are in near proximity, but at the finish line, Umami stabs the gold tape with her horn. But it is the torso that matters here, so there would be a video review. And so the blue team wins, and thanks to the efforts of the freshmen, the blue team is shot closer to overall victory. Next up is the sophomore relay. Yutaka finds Atsuno, who says that it has been a long time since he actually saw him with an honest smile on his face. He says that Yutaka really changed since going to the Keiki High School. Yutaka also agrees because there is someone here who lets him be a spoiled kid. Tsumiki showers a satisfied smile at her trophy. Keiki High School Sports Festival, the blue, the red, and the yellow teams all competed in fierce battles, but in the second half, the blue team caught up and took the overall victory. And so the next event, the midterm tests. Tsumiki is exhausted on finally being done with the first day because the sports festival was over way too fast. She is not going home yet because she got to study. She asked about the tests for tomorrow, and when they tell her that the first period is math, she gets up and dashes, before thanking them for letting her know. Things are not good because math is her most hated enemy. She wonders where she should study as there is too much playing at home and too much talking in the class. She is pacing to and fro in front of the class, so Yutaka asks what is wrong. She asks about his recommended study spot as she tells him that she always got bad grades in middle school and was always pretty far down the ranks, but if she fails something here, she might get held back, and she really does not want that. Yutaka tells her about a library in his neighborhood and asks if she wants to go there together. She asks if that is okay, so Yutaka tells her that as long as she is okay with it, they can study together. He likes math, so he can even help her. Tsumiki beams at the news but then glooms that Yutaka likes math, as if that is so crazy. At the library, Tsumiki is amazed and asks where he normally study here. He tells her that he studies in the seat at the far back of the room. Tsumiki also agrees that on the edge is good since they can relax. Once reading the sign of being quiet, Tsumiki adopts the stealth mode and even uses gestures. Yutaka realizes why she is being like this and tells her that it is okay if they talk quietly. Tsumiki mouths like a goldfish, so Yutaka asks her to repeat that. She comes near and whispers to ask just how quiet is quietly. Yutaka is surprised and finally gets that Tsumiki's hearing is so good that quiet is totally different for her. He demonstrates that this much is fine, so she finally gets it. Yutaka notices that there are times where she seems really embarrassed, and then sometimes she just gets really close. He is not sure, but he cannot relax. Tsumiki, on the other hand, asks that in junior high course review there is a problem about water pouring into a partition tank at a constant rate, but she just cannot understand why is there a partition even in here. She is doubting the figure itself, but she is not done. There is one more thing she cannot figure out about the point P, so she asks where did point P come from in the first place, and why does it want to move now? She is strangely fascinated by the point P. Yutaka says that he is curious too, that they need to just study what they will need for tomorrow, and then they can talk about the point P later. Tsumiki finally tries to solve the problem, and with a little help from Yutaka, she thinks that she just needs to try it out. Yutaka remembers that she was pretty embarrassed when her nails grew, so he wonders when she started keeping them trimmed. Because like this, she outshines. Tsumiki notices that Yutaka is spacing out, so he apologizes and gives pointers to solve the problem. She tells him to not worry about her and just study what he wants, and once he is done, he can look at her work. So they start studying, but how the heck is he supposed to focus? The tests continued, and 1 week later, the teacher announced that he's going to hand back the math tests now. He also tells them that the average this time was 67 points, so when Tsumiki looks at her score, she keeps staring. Yutaka hesitantly asks how she did, and she shows her 41 marks quite smoothly. Yutaka encourages her that she did not fail, but Tsumiki says that it is amazing because this is the first time that she has ever scored this high. If she keeps studying hard, getting 100 points is not just a pipe dream. She tells Yutaka that he was super good at teaching, so she bets that he got 100 points. He hides his result and says that he got the usual. Tsumiki thinks that it would be good, but she does not know that he got 70 marks. The rush of events of the first semester's first half ends in June. The class's bonds have become stronger. Yutaka is greeted by his classmates. The Invisible Man asks what he thinks about his summer clothes variant, while the Oni suggests him to just straight up give him a compliment because he would pester until he does so. The Invisible Man is hurt by this, and to show his hurt face, he asks for a pen and paper. He scribbles on the paper to make a face to show how he feels right now, but the boys cannot stop their laughter. Little by little, Yutaka has more classmates he can talk with, and this makes him happy. The class is greeted by Tsumiki in her summer uniform. Even the Oni kid admits that she is cuter than impossibly cute. This kid is totally hardcore over her. Tsumiki greets the girls and asks Murri if she can do the thing. She really does not have a choice, so she starts calming Tsumiki's ears. Tsumiki always feels good having done that. Murri asks if there is a difference, so Tsumiki tells her that it is so much better when someone you like does it for you. The Oni slams his head on the desk as only the best friends have that perk. and he wonders how he can get to that level. The Invisible Man points out that Oni even has trouble talking to her, but the Oni tells him to shut up because he is hurting her. So the days pass by with their usual everyday routine, and Yutaka realizes that they have not really talked lately. But it makes sense because all those fun things happened and that gave them a reason to talk, but those were just exceptions. It was fun in the moment, but he guesses this is just how their everyday life is. Yutaka finds Tsumiki in the sports room and is about to go away, but Tsumiki notices him. She asks if he is coming in and gives a fast reason of why he is here. He wonders how he managed to talk to her before and asks what she is doing here. Tsumiki tells him that she is the sports committee person on duty and she was counting the sports equipment inventory. She notices that Yutaka is acting weird, so she grabs him and asks why he is avoiding her right now. He does not want to talk to her. He does not have to pretend like he does. Yutaka tells her that for the past few weeks now, he has been thinking how he just feels so comfortable when he is around her. But he cannot help but feel that he and Tsumiki just live in a completely different worlds. Tsumiki gets agitated as she tells him that Yutaka is very important to her, and there is no way that is going to change. Yutaka is surprised, so Tsumiki apologizes and asks for his hand to put a brush in it. She then loses her tail and takes off her shoes. She sits with her back towards Yutaka and tells him that she kind of got mad, so now it is itchy, so he should brush it. Yutaka opens the brush, takes her tail in his hands and starts brushing it. He also apologizes to Tsumiki, saying that he has actually wanted to talk to her this whole time. Tsumiki acknowledges him shyly, but then they hear the bell ringing and rush back to the class. They make it just in time for the class, but still get scolded for running in the hallways. The boys ask why they were running all in a panic when they have not even seen the two of them together lately. However, they are shocked to see the fur on Yutaka's uniform. It is only now that Yutaka has noticed, but the whole class has already noticed it. The teacher asks the class to start studying, but they say that no way in hell can they focus now. The rush of events of the first semester's first half are over. Summer vacation is almost here, and when that time comes the confessions of love and requests to go out. Like, does it not seem like the number of confessions totally really goes up thanks to Mami-chan? Of course, she rejects the guy that just showed his courage. Even her classmates are keeping account, and as far as they know, this is the 10th guy, and they all had a pretty good relationship with Mami-chan. They wonder why she has not accepted a single one. The boy has not given up yet and asks Mami that she has said that she likes him a bunch of times. She admits that she likes him a lot, like how she said she toots want to go to the movies with him tomorrow. She even got some tickets of a couples only film festival, but the boy does not understand how that even works when she just shoot him down. Yumami says that the ticket says that any girl-guy pair is okay, so it is fine. But the boy says that if she does not have any romantic feelings for someone, she cannot casually say that she likes them because they would misunderstand. Yumami stabs her horn in a tree because she totally does not get it. What is wrong with telling people she likes them as much as she wants, and what is there to misunderstand? It is wrong that she likes everybody, and she really wanted to watch that movie. Yutaka finds her during her rants, so she threatens to stab him for looking. Yutaka apologizes and tries to warn her about the tree, but Yumami tells him that they want the trees here cut down, so it is okay, since she has got the permission to use her horn. Yutaka tries to warn her again, but the tree snaps, and luckily Tsumiki arrives on time to grab it. Yumami apologizes for being distracted and thanks them, but stops herself from telling them that she loves them because she cannot just casually say that anymore. Tsumiki picks up the movie tickets from the ground, and Yumami tells her that they are for tomorrow. Her own plans fell through, so she decides to give them to Tsumiki. Yutaka wonders if Tsumiki is just gonna hold the tree like it is nothing while talking to them. Tsumiki, on the other hand, says that she can go with Yumami. Yumami really wants to go with her, but it is for only boy-girl couples. Tsumiki says that they can all go in that case. The two girls arrive at the movie theater, and it is the first time for Tsumiki. Yumami tells her that this theater specifically caters to Genjin quirks, so she highly recommends it. Tsumiki asks what kind of movie they are watching, so Yumami tells her that it is a romance movie and a friend of hers is appearing in this one, so she thought she had sent him the review. Yutaka also arrives and notices that they are getting way too much attention. There are a lot of Genjin at Keiki High School, but out in general public, they are a lot less common. Yumami is pretty popular on her SNS, and Tsumiki was in that viral dance video with Kanami. He wonders if it is going to be okay, and worries if they would even be able to watch the movie like this. However, Tsumiki has it all covered as she tells people to line up if they are also buying food. She guards the gallery, telling them to place their orders like this. Yumami also joins and tells the people go and catch up with the photos to take one without permission, and she would stab them. Those two are really strong. The movie is going to start any minute, so the two girls equipped with sunglasses and earplugs provided by the theater. Like Yumami, Tsumiki also got night vision, and she read on the net that it might be too bright at first, so she brought these. But they are fine without them, so they take them out. Yutaka finds the movie dragging a bit, but this is just what romance movies are like, but you really kind of wish they had just moved on with the story. He glances at Tsumiki to find her blushing. Yumemi is watching the movie quite calmly, but when the dialogues talk about how a character loves the other and how she would only ever say them to him, Yumemi squeezes her straw. After the movie, Yumemi thanks the two for coming and Tsumiki does the same because it was really interesting. Even Yutaka says that the ending was really moving. Yumemi says that she would let her friend know too, as she realizes that she really should not say it. Like is a word you use for people you really love, and you can hurt someone if you use it too easily, but she really does love everyone. She just does not understand romantic love at all. Saying that, she decides to go away but is stopped by Tsumiki. Tsumiki does not really get what she is talking about, but she thinks that it is better to let people know. Friends and lovers are really important people, so she thinks that it is better to say it. Yumemi gets encouragement and says that she really loves both of them a lot. And so Yumemi's penchant for telling everyone she likes them continues, and it is said that the number of students who have perished in the swamp has increased. It is the end of July, so Tsumiki tells the gang to get started on the big cleaning. But the question arises why the heck she is barefoot, and the reply is simple, because it is nice and slimly. They question why is she so happy about that, so Tsumiki says that for the werewolves, getting dirty is kind of fun. They really have to do it because there is also an indoor pool, but this one gets used the most. Today is the end of the first semester, so Yutaka needs to ask them before they finish cleaning. He would not be able to see everyone during summer vacation. He was gradually able to get to know them all, but just when he thought they might become real friends, this long vacation hits. It is the attack of 40 days of nothingness, and when the second semester starts, he is totally confident in his ability to be forgotten. What should he even say? Is there even something they all would want to do? With their various natures and constitutions, everyone has different things they like and everyone has stuff they do not like. He really does not know enough about them. At the Haizebono shop channel, she says to the dear customers that she would like to introduce them all to their pool cleaning supplies set, a powerful dirt-removing detergent with sponge, and if they act now, it will also include a brush. Everyone collectively says that the price is too high. Murri assigns the task. Kuro-san would use the sponge to clean the walls of the pool, Kurohane would use the broom for the roof of the changing room, and then lastly, Tsumiki and Matsuki are pretty strong, so they would go after the nastiest stains. Matsuki the Oni is excited because he would not only be in the same area, but also the same job, so this is his big chance to get closer to her. They get started and he could not talk to her. But he is contended that a serious Tsumiki is totally cute as well. Yutaka and Kityu are tasked to apply water wherever it is needed. Yutaka thinks that he should just concentrate on cleaning for now. Tsumiki asks him for the hose and he tells her that she is turning green. He asks if he should take care of it because it is probably not good for her skin. She closes her eyes and moves her face forward. The idea strikes Yutaka and he uses a napkin to wipe her face, but she grabs his hand and says that the hose would have been fine. Yutaka panics as he realizes that he did not need to use his handkerchief at all. Matsuki is jealous by their natural flirting and tells them to get back to work. Mare looks at the sky and says that today's weather is lovely. The gang finds the opportunity to ask if they can go home now, but Murri zips up her raincoat and the gang uses hose to sprinkle water all over. Yutaka sits at the side, glooming that they are already done. Tsumiki notices that something is not right and asks. Yutaka admits that he wanted to ask them all about something, but what could he even say since he does not know them well enough? Tsumiki advises that if he wants to know them better, he should just ask. Yutaka realizes that because he does not know enough, he wants to get to know them better. So he announces that he would like to spend the summer vacation with these guys. Although he is sure that all of them have plans, if it is not possible, they can just let him know, and he will totally understand and make proper arrangements. But if they would like to get together, they can let him know, and he would be really happy. Crap, he got way too nervous and just ran his mouth off, or so he thinks. But the gang says that they totally want to hang out together and even make a group chat and decide to name it Pool Cleaners. Tsumiki tells Yutaka that their summer vacation is going to be really fun. Yutaka also agrees that it is going to be fun. Yutaka returns home and his little sister takes a peek to say that he looks really happy. His phone is buzzing, and it is the sound of making plans for summer. For the first time since he entered Keiki High, his summer is beginning. Sea check and store check, and with that Kanemi beach house is open and she is hyped and expects the same from Tsumiki and Yutaka. Tsumiki had no idea that Kanemi's house was a beach house, so Kanemi tells her that her papa wants everyone to love the ocean more, so they do this every year. She asks if they applied for the job because they love the sea as well. Yutaka admits that he came here at his older sister's behest, but his eyes goes blank as he says that. Tsumiki says that when summer vacation started, she bought a bunch of stuff, so she is all out of money. Kanemi reminds her that it has only been a week. Well, anyhow, since they came to the beach, they will be given the best experience. So Kanemi welcomes them to their stinging workplace. Tsumiki and Yutaka do not know what exactly is stinging anymore. Yutaka is surprised because both Tsumiki and Kanemi are customer service pros. Kanemi's father is impressed by the werewolf girl, but he is sure that she cannot compare to his Kanemi. She has had amazing strength and dexterity since she was little, and he was shocked when she just immediately got up and started walking. Yutaka is impressed that she was fast at growing as well. Kanemi's father says that this is the reason he has never really seen her rely on anyone else. Both Tsumiki and Kanemi freezes and then splash the buckets of water over their heads. Kanemi was about to pass out because she's a mermaid-type Genjin and her strength varies depending on presence of water. Tsumiki is a werewolf-type Genjin, so she's also quite sensitive to heat. Yutaka asks the owner if it is okay inside the store, but the owner says that it is not a problem, and it makes sense because they haven't noticed that the customers may be splashed with seawater. All the customers are looking at one particular person because he is the customer complaint master streamer, Mr. Y Pei. Today, he is here to check the customer service again. Streaming Genjin-run stores tends to get high viewership, and today it is the store where Kanemi, who has so many viral videos, is working. So he smells big money and plans to take full advantage of the suckers. Yutaka has seen that guy before, so he tells others that Mr. Y Pei creates content on bad customer service, so he places unreasonably nasty orders. But he pulls it off so well that stores actually lose customers. Yutaka asks what they are going to do with the owners already. Is their store's motto to make everyone smile and make them love the ocean more? And that guy is a customer too, so Kanemi says that she would handle him, so the two of them keep doing what they are doing. Kanemi zooms in on the Mr. Y Pei and asks if he has decided on his order. The guy notes the time and gives a very long order. Kanemi writes everything down as she is determined to protect her papa's shop. She can do everything by herself. But as she turns around, the customers are already leaving. Kanemi is stunned, so Tsumiki pours a bucket of water over her head and tells her that now is the time to sting. Even Mr. Y Pei has been drenched with water, but Yutaka comes to the rescue as he apologizes and brushes his hair. The guy is impressed that he styled his hair in an instant when it takes him an hour every morning. Even the wild wolf girl has great customer service, and the speed at which the food comes out is impeccable. And most of all, to serve a news and streamer with these smiles. But what about the taste? He takes a bite and is clearly impressed. Tsumiki and Kanemi slaps their hand in victory. Kanemi's father sheds happy tears as he thanks them. He is glad that his daughter has such clever friends like those two, so this is just wonderful. He hands them their wages and asks them to join Kanemi since there is a place she always goes to. The two find Kanemi at a really nice place. She tells them that when something good happens, she always come here. Well, anytime she can be near the ocean is the best, but she thanks them because today was the best ever. Back at the werewolf den, the first daughter Tsumiki is playing watermelon splitting with her siblings. However, the second daughter Itsuki tells her that there is not melon. It looks like she forgot the most important thing, so she decides to go buy one, but is stopped by the younger ones. They ask her how could she forget the watermelon, but do not want her to go because she would just get sidetracked. Itsuki cannot bear it any longer and decides to go get it. However, her siblings freeze because she hates going out. Itsuki reminds Tsumiki that she promised to play with everyone today and she's been gone most of the time since summer vacation started and the younger ones are lonely. Tsumiki asks if she would be able to bring it all back, watermelon, some snacks, ramune, and some fireworks for everyone. Itsuki just says that she is leaving, already deciding that she is not bringing any of it. In the outside world, Itsuki starts her journey and keeps sniffing her way out. The outside world is the worst, so she thinks that she should not have come. She wonders why Tsumiki always looks so happy to be going out. She does not even know the way and has to see the map, which is gone now. Fortunately, Yutaka found her note and the two recognize each other. Itsuki says her thanks and goes her way, but she has no idea where to go, so Yutaka tells her that he is also heading to the supermarket and asks if she would like to go together. The watermelon are sold out, so Itsuki have to find another store. She receives a message from Tsumiki, who tells her to leave it to her if she is having difficulty. Itsuki leaves the store, but Yutaka is the one to tell her that the way back is that way. He asks if she does not come here often. She tells him that she does not because she absolutely hates the outside world. It is too noisy, there are so many smells that she cannot tell apart, and it is too hot in the summer. And even though it is just the worst out here, Tsumiki always looks so happy when she goes out. But today they have Tsumiki at home with them and she told them to split the watermelon because it would be fun. That is why she has to buy some today, and she wanted to do her best, but she was relieved when she got her message. She thinks that it is just the worst, but Yutaka thinks that she could learn to like it. Itsuki remembers the time when Tsumiki showed her the beautiful outside world and said that she would definitely learn to like it as well. Itsuki can finally see the beautiful world and asks what that sound was. Yutaka tells her that it was the sound of the summer. They find the watermelons and Itsuki is able to get 4 of them. Even the vendor says that it is summer when they eat watermelons and tells her to enjoy the summer. She thanks him but notices that Yutaka is smiling because she looked just like Tsumiki there, and he really felt that they were sisters. However, Itsuki says that they are not alike because Tsumiki is really amazing and she is really proud of her. Itsuki makes it back to the den, but is bombarded by her siblings that do a full-body scan by sniffing. Tsumiki asks if something happened, but Itsuki tells her that it was not too bad. Tsujumi is worried because they just came out here to look for rhino beetles, but they have somehow wandered into a haunted hellscape. Tsumiki assures her that if a ghost shows up, she will just beat it up with her fists. Yutaka is worried for the poor ghost who would have even more regret in this world, but Senga questions his care for a ghost. Tsujumi states that it is too dangerous and that they should look for the present for Tsumiki's little brother somewhere else. She tells everyone to stay as close as possible so that they do not get separated. However, both Tsumiki and Yutaka are already gone. Tsujumi feels that there's something definitely wrong here because they were right next to them just a moment ago. With Tsumiki's hearing, she can definitely be able to hear them calling for her. Her mind wanders too far and she thinks about another dimension and does not want to be in a world without Tsumiki. Senga tells her to not make herself sick because those two should be fine. He suggests going down the mountain quickly since there is no phone signal at all. Tsujumi wonders why all of this is happening. Tsumiki specifically asked her to help her out, and of course she said yes. Right now there is no signal at all, and the only one she can rely on this haunted mountain is Senga. At first she was pretty hyped because he is a vampire, but he is frivolous. Then he is expressionless, sometimes goes on Misaka streaks, and well now, he is someone to keep an eye on. And he is a guy who only thinks about things in terms of profit and loss, so he might use her as a bait for the ghosts, so she needs to stay alert. Senga asks her what is she so afraid of. There cannot be anything that's scary on this mountain. But when he sees a cross sign, he shrieks and falls down with a thud. Senga gets a hold to himself and decides to go, but Tsujumi warns him about the garlic path ahead. Now Senga has finally given up, but Tsujumi drags him with her as she says that the special powers his nature gives him are mostly awesome, so why are they only running into the things he is not good with? Senga tells her that it is not his fault, so she should lay off, and his eyes hurt because of the garlic. Tsujumi tells him to at least walk on his own in that case. Tsujumi and Senga reaches a tunnel and is obviously going to be haunted. At the end of the tunnel is bright light, or so they say, but why is that so far away? Senga reminds her about his temptation power and warns her that it could be bad if they ate inside a tunnel. Tsugumi finds it no problem because if it happened, she would just note it as a dispassionate observer. Senga is impressed by her Genjin fan level, which is surely over 9,000. He thinks maybe he can make her a friend, but is rejected by Tsujumi. She hears a sound and panics, asking if he heard that just now and tells him to get to the exit at full speed. Senga blackmails her that if she agrees to be his friend, then he would take her to the exit. Tsujumi asks if he wants her to toss him into a damned garlic field and even tells the Mesukis freak to not look so happy about it. Senga asks if she can tell her more about the werewolves since she knows a lot about Genjin. Tsujumi does not like that question and asks if she's going after Tsumiki again. Senga tells her that he just thought it might be useful for Yutaka. Tsujumi finds it hard to believe as to why would he do that for Yutaka. It is weird because there is not benefit for him and he is someone who only does anything based on profit and loss. Senga clarifies that it is because he needs to return the favor. Normally he does not mind being exposed to the sun too much, but summer is really hard on him, and then Yutaka reached out to him like it was totally normal. Yutaka was the one who invited Senga to catch the beetles since it was nighttime activity. He also helped him out a lot at the sports festival, so Senga was wondering what he could do for him. The two of them stop talking as they can hear the stomping approaching them. Tsujumi gets scared as she cries that the tunnel spirit is going to curse and eliminate them. In her jittery jumping, she falls down but still does not stop crying about the curse and keeps blabbering about her fears. Senga collects her and starts running, but when they are out of the tunnel, he yells at Tsumiki for silently running at them at full power. Tsumiki asks why they ran away. Yutaka is wheezing because he could not keep up with them, and Tsumiki says that they would have been startled if she just yelled in the tunnel. Yutaka tells them that once they got separated, they just found tons of rhino beetles and Tsumiki was able to catch a lot for her little brother. Then they heard their chatter and gave chase. Tsujumi thanks Senga for back there, and she wonders that maybe his own profit and loss is not all he cares about. With only the available information on the nature of the subject in question, she felt like she knew everything there was to know, but she really does not know anything about him as an individual. So she tells Senga to let her know if there is anything she can do for him. She does not really know if there is anything she can actually do, but because he carried her to the exit, she is willing to compromise. Senga excitedly asks if they can be friends now, but gets rejected once again. Yutaka realizes that he got here too early. They all decided that as their summer vacation event, they would all go to a festival. It's been a while since he saw everyone, though he had met Tsumiki a few times. Tsumiki also arrives and Yutaka is too stunned to speak. She is cheerful as always as she says that the two of them are the first ones here. She even says that Yutaka's yukata is really nice, but she cannot seem to get the yukata and Yutaka in a single sentence. Yutaka also wants to praise her and even says it all in his head, but the words that come out of his mouth are gibberish. Tsumiki spins around to say that it should not be a surprise, but she is pretty fired up, so she had Itsuki help her put it on. Yutaka wishes that he could have said it normally, but he is being weird as always. Soon after, the whole gang arrives and Murri and Tsumiki are pretty excited about the fireworks and searching the best fireworks watching spot. Yutaka notices that Tsumiki made a map by hand again, while the other are reassured that they have two guides. So they hit the stalls and Tsumiki wants to get a big apple. Her friend kindly says that this is her first time at festival, so she should know that the big apples are actually hard to eat. However, Tsumiki's big chomps on the big apple provides an instant damage. Murri got the strawberries and gets an instant charm. Next up, they catch the fishes, but Kitu and Yutaka are the only masters. Tsumiki also wants to try and asks Yutaka to show her the trick. Yutaka displays the skills, but his paper rips, making him blush. Tsumiki laughs at him for ripping the paper, but he says that it happened because she was watching. Kitu tells Matsuki to shut up even though he did not say anything, displaying that he is clearly jealous. The gang settles down to eat while Tsumiki and Yutaka decide to get some drinks. Tsumiki says that this kind of feels like when they work part-time job with Konami, today's fireworks mood. Tsumiki tells him wait a second because she's getting kind of nervous. Yutaka asks if this is her first time seeing the fireworks. She tells him that it is her first time seeing them live. She has only heard the sounds before. When she was little, she heard something strange, so she asked her mom and she told her what it was. What are these flowers that bloom in the sky? They are so beautiful that she cried. It was only when she entered the high school that she has been able to go to so many new places. And so they have a great view, got everything they need, and can watch it all with their friends, so she's pretty excited for this. And she made sure to bring some earplugs, super dampening ones because the fireworks are super loud. Yutaka admits that sometimes even he gets startled. Tsumiki is surprised that they even surprise humans, so she definitely needs to use them. However, she gets pushed by playful brats and the earplugs jump out of her hands. Yutaka is reminded of how excited Tsumiki is, so he proceeds to jump into the water. Back with the gang, Matsuki has a bad premonition, but when they ask if he is psychic, he tells them that it is not one of his Genjin abilities. He wonders why they are late and finds it weird that they have not gotten back yet. They have not even contacted, so the gang wonders if something happened. But they are sure that they would be fine since it is Tsumiki. But this is the reason that Matsuki is actually worried. After all, it is those two, so he hopes that nothing happens. At some other place, Yutaka is hugging Tsumiki and wondering why is this happening. On the night of the summer festival, under the bridge, a mother profoundly apologizes for her kids. However, Yutaka says that he just jumped on his own while Tsumiki tells her that she tripped because she was wearing a gira. Both are drenched, so the mother offers to dry them off right away with her hot breath, definitely transferring some germs while doing that. Yutaka thinks that he has really done it now. Since he was about to fall into the river, Tsumiki tried to save him, but they just fell in together. He apologizes because Tsumiki had her hair done up and wore a yukata. She was all prepared for this. However, Tsumiki says that he was only trying to save her earplugs. She also asks him to give her a little bit of help with her yukata. They find a secluded place and Yutaka starts helping her. Tsumiki tells him that he does not have to look away since she is wearing an inner one piece. But Yutaka says that it is easier to put it on without looking, definitely easier. He wonders how can Tsumiki be so totally unflustered about this. He decides that he just have to pretend that he is dressing his little sister. He also realizes that he just needs to focus and get her dressed quickly so her first fireworks can be absolutely perfect. So Yutaka hurries up to fix her up. When he is done, Tsumiki thanks him and they decide to head back. It is almost 8 and Yutaka worries that they would not be able to make it in time. He scolds himself for taking too long, and if only he could have dressed her faster. No, if only he had not fallen to begin with. She was so excited for this, so Yutaka feels even bad. However, Tsuniki hits her back to him, saying that she wanted to watch the fireworks with everyone and urges him to ride him. Yutaka does not understand but still gets on her back. Saying that they would definitely make it in time, she takes a deep breath and takes a leap. In the sky, Yutaka is being too loud, but Tsumiki tells him to open his eyes. The scenery below stuns him, and he says that the view is always amazing when he is with her. Tsumiki glances at the moon and cannot help but howl at it. Her howl is heard by the gang, who immediately recognize the cutest howl that belongs to Tsumiki only. The two of them are finally back, so get a scolding for not checking their phones more. Tsumiki excitedly sits down and asks Yutaka to do the same. Everyone settles down and Yutaka thinks that he has been weird all day. He does not know what exactly he wants to say. He thanks Tsumiki for earlier, but she says that she should be the one thanking him. The fireworks start and Yutaka says that it is beautiful, also realizing what he has been wanting to say this whole time. She could not even hear it if he said it right now, which is a relief, but yeah, he wants to say it someday. September 1st, the second semester starts today, and now that it begun, Yutaka is demonstrating his good character. He's got a bunch of school towels here and asks if they want to trade theirs for a fresh one. The Genjin replies that he cannot actually use it unless it is wet. Yutaka understands and leaves while the guys thanks him and say that he is always working hard. However, Yutaka is down in the dumps for messing up again. He has not been to school for a while, so it is tough remembering the nature of all the various Genjins. He cannot help but be worried about it. He might end up saying something totally rude to someone, so he really has to be careful. Yutaka greets his friend, but Matsuki asks if he changes his face and Kitu wants to use his other face. Tsumiki is not here yet. He thought she'd get here early for the start of the new semester. He is wondering if something happened, but Tsumiki arrives with shoes in her hands through the window. Yutaka panics because it is the 4th floor, but Tsumiki says that she was about to be late and window are obviously faster. She is still as powerful in the second semester. Yutaka notices something under her eyes and wonders if that is okay to ask. But Tsumiki laughs and says that she looks like a panda. She tells him that she pulled an all-nighter doing her summer vacation homework, so this happened. She even asks if he wants to take a photo, but Yutaka can feel a fire emitting from behind, and it has been a while since he felt this aura. The new semester also brought the physical measurements and Genjin nature measurement tests. Tsujumi never thought that she'd actually get to help with the measurements, so she decides to make sure they record every single one accurately. Yutaka tells her that he is the one holding the official sheets, so she panics for pulling out her own notes. Yutaka asks if the Genjin nature measurements every semester, so Tsujumi informs him that it is pretty rare that Genjin actually have a change in nature, but it happens, so they do need to take these on regular basis. There might be a change in Tsumiki's nature, so Tsujumi absolutely wants to collect it. But she does not see Tsumiki here and wonders if she is taking a nap. Werewolves needs more sleep than humans do, so Tsumiki needs a lot of nap because of her nature, but werewolves are wary, so you never really see them do it. Tsujumi apologizes and starts concentrating on the measurements. The next student is from class 2, Tomo Mokuri, and she is an insect person. She spits a long spider web from her mouth and Tsujumi gashes to measure how far it went. Yutaka feels impressed and calls it cool. Mokuri, however, says that they were merely the threads she was compelled to bring forth at human behest, so such a thing is not beautiful in the least. She asks if one thinks it is amazing as she spins a spider ball. She asks if one gets emotional every time a spider spits silk and finds it strange. She gives the ball to Yutaka as she says that it is merely rubbish to her. The measurements go on, leaving Yutaka all tired, and he seeks some time alone. There are still so many things he still do not know, so he needs to study their differences in nature more diligently. He knows that some of them seem to dislike him, and he does not want that. These are actually his own demons, making him think that way. During his strolls, Tsumiki finds him, but he is more concerned as to why Tsuniki is coming out on the ground like a zombie. He asks what she is going, so she tells him that she dug a hole and invites him in. Yutaka hesitates, but Tsumiki grabs his hand and tells him to not hold back for her sake. Yutaka feels around and realizes that it is cool. Tsumiki tells him that she takes a nap in a cave when she is tired, and it is the best. She tells him that he is welcome to use it as well. Yutaka says that she has been working hard. Tsumiki tells him that she was up all night. She likes being at school and she likes everyone, but this and that are different. She is tired, so she gotta do what she gotta do. A bit of silence and Tsumiki is already asleep. He whispers of thanks to her and wonders if he can get out of her without waking her. However, she is already grabbing his arm in her sleep. Yutaka is aware of her habit of grabbing things, but when she happily says his name in her sleep, he is amazed. She further talks in her dream, and Yutaka wonders where her werewolves are wary went. He guesses that it means she thinks she is safe with him, so he thinks that she is really making it hard for him. Murri greets Kitu and thanks him for working so hard this early in the day. He asks if they are painting a sign for the cultural festival. Kitu says that she is also here quite early and asks if she got a meeting. Murri says that she always get here this early just to do some cleanup around school. Kitu says that he feels like she deserves an award. Murri apologizes for interrupting and leaves after saying that she looks forward to seeing its completion. Kitu says that their humble class rep is really amazing, but his friend reminds him that Kitu, who came early just to help out the arts club, is pretty good kiddo too. The biggest event of second semester, the cultural festival. Everyone is here to prepare for it. Murri is one of them, of course. As a class representative for freshman class 1, she has to work extra hard. Tsumiki comes to her with the records of the previous whining class themes. They will be deciding what theme to do pretty soon, so she suggests using the record as a reference to take the top place. Murri thinks that is a great idea and decides to put it into a graph percentage to show everyone else. Tsumiki does not know what percent is, but before she can ask Murri, Yutaka asks Murri if she has a second, because the teacher wants to talk to her about the festival. Murri apologizes to Tsumiki, but Tsumiki decides to give it a look herself. Tsumiki says that Murri has been busy this morning, so Yutaka tells her that she is fast and efficient, so a lot of people come to her for help. Tsumiki starts looking at the record and the pawsant thing Murri mentioned. Yutaka offers to help and easily states the percentage of all the themes in the record. Tsumiki says that she loves his math skill, but the compliment is not well received by the other boys, it seems. Murri is finally done with everything, but a boy comes to ask her to check the budget as well. Her snakes hiss at him, so Murri tells them off for threat displays. The boy gets the message and apologizes. There is so much work to be done, but she needs to get back to finish the presentation for the class. She thinks that she just needs to work harder as she presses a wet towel on her forehead. Two girls enter the girls' room and chat while combing their hair. They say that they literally cannot live without mirrors. That has nothing to do with Murri, so she takes her leave. In the hallways, Kitty is surprised that they are listing his name in the pamphlet as the part of the prop team when he is not even in the drama club. His friend tell him that he is going in since he helped them a lot. Ketu wants his name big and bold, but the two guys crash into Murri with their art supplies. Murri falls down, but she apologizes, saying that she was the one not paying attention. Ketu informs her that she got paint on her glasses, so she hides her glasses as she apologizes and asks them to clean up there. She goes to the rooftop and is relieved that her Medusa glasses are safe. However, when Ketu finds her, she tells him to stop right there. She tells him that she does not have her glasses on right now and she would put them on, so he should wait for a moment. Ketu says that there is no need for that and asks if she would like to use the mirror. He tells her that it is a drama club prop and since she cannot take off her glasses when there are people around, so she can use this one. Murri tells him that she still has to use her glasses just to look in the mirror or she would petrify even herself. Ketu asks if she has never seen her own bare face, and when she tells him that she has never, he says that it is just so sad. However, Murri does not think so because she is Medusa after all. A Genjin who has the ability to turn other people and even herself into stone. It is just simple good manners and mostly the law that she wears her special glasses. With the glasses on, she can safely see other people's faces and most of her own, so this is amazing enough. She cannot really ask for more. Ketu asks if she could, would she not want to? He says that he is an invisible man, so there is nothing to see, but what about her? Murri begins that she is Medusa, but Ketu clarifies that not as Medusa, what does she herself wants? Murri admits that it is something that she just does not think about. Ketu has a great idea as he knows that the nature of petrification is that it happens when she makes eye contact with someone's naked eye. If there is something in the way, they would not turn to stone. So he suggests that he come in between. So he holds the mirror with his back towards Murri, and she slowly approaches to see her own face in the mirror. She says that it is like a fantasy since she never thought she had seen this in her life. Ketu says that even though his only Genjin power is being transparent, if he is the only one who can look her in the eyes without getting petrified, maybe he is the strongest. He asks what she thinks of her real face, and she says that she really does not like it when her bangs are this messy. She thanks Ketu for she is all cleaned up, refreshed, and totally motivated. She can give her all for the remaining work. Ketu thinks that it was a nice face as he goes his way. So Jimmy informs that the newspaper club creates and distributes the cultural festival pamphlet every year. It is also really informative for people who are not students, so she is really fired up about it. Tsumiki tells her that they were just deciding what their class should do. So Jimmy asks if they had a rough time because everyone looks completely wiped out. Tsumiki says that they just decided that the class one is doing a cosplay cafe. So Jimmy is shocked and starts her delusions while Tsumiki tells her that all the data about the previous year's winners tend to be fancy exhibits of things, but cosplay involves that too with the outfits. However, Sojimi is flat out dead because she was not prepared for the unexpected overflowing cornucopia. She finally realizes why the whole class was like that because they never expected for Tsumiki to suggest that and worry if they would be able to behold such a vision. Sojimi is a little nervous as she stands in front of a door. She knocks at it and introduces herself from the newspaper club. The door slams open and a spider answers hanging upside down. Sojimi apologizes for interrupting and says that she is currently interviewing the members of the art club and she definitely wants to get her comments as well. The spider asks if she only wants her thoughts as the member of the art club, and when she gets affirmation, she consents. Tomomokuri, insect person Genjin type, has a nature of a spider. She rose to fame after posting art made from her own threads on social media, but then she stopped posting all of a sudden. It filled Sojimi with sadness whenever she thought she had never see her art posts ever again. To think that she is here at Keiki High, and she is one of her classmates. So Tsujimi starts with her first question and asks about the piece she will be exhibiting for the cultural festival. She asks, could the web strewn around this mostly empty classroom possibly be part of that artwork, because in her previous pieces, the thread itself became art. Before Tsujimi can proceed with her blabbering, Mokuri shuts her up with her threads and says that she knows about Tsujimi, as she is the one who writes those articles about Genjin. Genjin are amazing, she gushes as if enthralled by the very fact of their existence. She loves them and cannot help but reflect that in her prose. Mokuri says that she has no use for that blinding adoration, as it is not beautiful in the least. She throws the ball of a Tsujimi out of the classroom. Tsujimi has a withdrawal letter in her hand, but Tsumiki, Yutaka, and Senga see that and stop her, asking if she wants to talk about it. Tsujimi says that it is okay, since she just needs to accept the consequences to her actions. Senga asks just what could she have done that would require her to drop out. Tsujimi says that it is because she is not able to restrain herself. Lately, she's been feeling like this obsessive one-sided adoration of hers might be unpleasant to others. Because she likes them, because she feels positive about them. Surely the other person would feel appreciated, or at least, that is what she used to think, but those were just her delusions. The more she likes someone, that stronger and more oppressive her emotions become, so she needs to be careful to not come off too strong. Well, that is what she should have realized, so she wants to become the wall. The three wonder if she has short-circuited. Tsujimi looks at the building and asks how can she become the part of the Keiki High School building. She thinks that if she can just do that, then these unpleasant thoughts of hers would disappear and she will no longer be exposed. Senga takes the withdrawal letter and reads, saying that Mokuri is definitely hard to get along with. He says that to start receiving someone's affection is always a little awkward at first, so he thinks that if someone can just receive it sincerely, it is like a little miracle. Yutaka also reads the letter and is impressed that she is able to not only express but also face her own feelings so clearly. Tsumiki takes the letter and tells her to listen to her for a bit. She says that if she turned into a wall, it would not be able to talk to her. Senga tells her to not just say the obvious crap. Tsumiki tells her that the other person was just not a good match for her this time, but she thinks that it would be a real shame for Tsujimi to deny her passionate feeling like this. Tsumiki is sure that there is something good that only Tsujimi can do. Tsujimi wonders what she can do with these feelings, but she thanks them nevertheless as she tells them that she would give it some thought. In her room, Tsujimi thinks that she went and made her uncomfortable, and she cannot take that back. Just because she likes something does not mean she can lose control. She still cannot completely accept these feelings, but there is something she can do. So she writes, and the cultural festival booklet is out. Mokuri also takes a look at the booklet and grabs her brush. Finally, Keiki High School's cultural festival starts tomorrow. The usually drab school building is all decorated, and as the preparations are wrapping up, freshman class 1 is totally behind schedule. Yutaka asks if the decorations are about half done, but Matsuki tells him that most of the costumes are nowhere near finished. Matsuki wonders how this situation got so critical, but gets informed that it is because he and the costume team spent so much time debating the cosplay. On the other hand, Murri says that she is just a cashier, so she does not need a costume, but Tsumiki says that she should do the cosplay as well, then their path to victory will be even more assured. Murri thinks that it would be tough to do anything about a costume at this point, but Tsumiki says to leave it to her to make it in time. The interior design that everyone is working hard on looks really great, so they have to match it with the cutest outfits to properly entertain their customers. Then they will win this and make a bunch more great memories with Class 1. With the Tsumiki boosts, their speed went through the roof. The classroom is in cultural festival mode, so Yutaka goes to help other students and rips his shirt in the process. The boy apologizes for not realizing that Yutaka was still wearing his uniform, but Yutaka is happy that he could help. He has to go back to the classroom soon, so he rushes back to find Tsumiki yawning. He asks what she is doing, so she says that she is stretching. She tells him that she sent everyone home since some of them have clubs too, so she figured she had just finished this. Yutaka is impressed that she did it all by herself, but she says that she has not been stitching up all these torn socks for nothing. Yutaka asks if she needs help, and she does need it as there is just hers left. She asks if Yutaka likes cultural festival. Everyone looks so tired and their legs seem so heavy, but his steps were still light. Yutaka says that he has not really thought about whether he likes the event itself, or he just cannot help but worry about everyone else and gets caught up. If his precious friends are having problems, he does not really think it is okay for him to be off somewhere. Having fun all by himself is something he just cannot do. But because Tsumiki was at the sports festival, he could run seriously and laugh without worry. He was happy he was able to win with everyone else and able to join in without holding back. So he thought that was really exciting. Tsumiki notices that his pocket is ripped, so he tells her that he was carrying some equipment. Tsumiki offers to sew it back for him, but he hesitates. Tsumiki tells him to turn her way and tells him to say, "Take it off." Yutaka does so, and Tsumiki tells him that he is supposed to say that when you have your clothes sewed while still on you, since it is a charm. She suddenly asks if he is nervous and if he doubts her mad sewing skills because his heart is beating so fast and loud. She realizes that she needs to get to work and says that Yutaka might still be exhausted after climbing the stairs since his face is so red. She asks if he needs a break, but Yutaka says that he is good. The two seriously sew and are all done. Tsumiki says that they finished early thanks to Yutaka's help, but he says that she was the one who finished most of everything and she was amazing. Yutaka says that it is getting late, so they should head home for now and rest, but Tsumiki has other plans because she is going to wear it. She wants to try it on because even if she is confident that it is correct, check it again. Yutaka remembers saying that to her one time before test, but Tsumiki has already vanished behind the curtain. Her fluffy tail wags out of the curtain, so Yutaka closes the curtain while looking away. He remains that way while the rustles from inside fill the silence. After a while, he asks if everything is okay and if there was a mistake in the sewing. Tsumiki says that it is sewn perfectly and comes out saying that it is too darn frilly. Yutaka is stunned because she's always so confident. Tsumiki thinks that it is weird, but Yutaka assures her that it is not weird at all. She is usually so sporty and cool, so this is entirely a new atmosphere and it really suits her well. He realizes that he should stop talking and blurts out the only thing in his mind. That is, she is the cutest. Tsumiki is surprised and hides behind the curtains again while Yutaka panics that he screwed up again and was speaking so formally, but he could not look away. Tsumiki, who is now a blushing mess, tells him to just forget and just do not remember it. And so the two of them somehow finish preparations. The next morning, the Keiki High School Cultural Festival is here. A heart-pounding day begins, or not, thanks Mokuri. Cultural Festival is a huge success from the start, so Tsuniki is all fired up. She watches the festivities and says that Keiki High's cultural festival is really super hype. She even shows Yutaka that there are tons of people in the courtyard. Yutaka is impressed by the balloon art, which is really popular, and Tsumiki tells him that it is Class 1-2's exhibit. At this rate, anyone could win, so she tells everyone to do their best to attract customers. From the window, they hear someone annoyed, which attracts their attention. It is the spider girl Yutaka met during the Genjin nature measurements, and she is called Mokuri. She is telling the people in front of them that she has informed them time and again that she does not want to answer. Yutaka sees that she is being harassed, while the people keep telling Mokuri that her fans want to know that she is Tomo Mokuri, a spider person artist who became a sensation on social media, but why did she suddenly delete all her works? They asked that she delete them in her third year of junior high, and just when they thought she was resurrecting her art for the cultural festival, she switched her art style to one that does not even use her threads, so just what on earth is going through her heads? They want to know her intent, but Mokuri had enough of their blabber, so she uses her threads to fly it like Spider-Man, saying that they overstepped. Even Tsumiki says that Mokuri has it pretty tough, and Yutaka remembers his previous mingling with her and wonders what happened. The cosplay cafe is super busy, and when Yutaka goes to the staff-only area, he hears a knock on the window. It is Mokuri, through the window, asking if they have an open seat. Yutaka tells her that they do have empty seats, so Mokuri climbs inside and gets seated. Yutaka wants to say something to her, but then thinks otherwise, so Mokuri places her order of Choco Deluxe Final Cake. Once Yutaka leaves, she sighs in relief. Yutaka tells Tsumiki that Mokuri is acting strange and wonders if they are still chasing her. She seems twitchy about people near her and comes in through the window. Tsumiki says that the windows work great, but this is not what Yutaka wanted to say. Tsumiki says that since he is on break, he can leave the order to her since she mastered the art of customer service at the beach, so she will give Mokuri flawless hospitality. As she said, Tsumiki greets Mokuri loud like on a beach house, but Mokuri approves of it by being impressed by the customer service. Mokuri asks Miss Clerk Tsumiki if she can use her threads in the store. She explains that because of her nature, she cannot really relax if she has not webbed up her food, as she fears that it is going to get away. Tsumiki totally gets it, as when she is saving food, it has got to be in a hole in the ground or it will get stolen. Mokuri gets that the soil is like unto a web, as both are territory, but Yutaka is worried because Tsumiki sat down with the customer. Tsumiki tells her that this food is something she ordered, so she does not think Mokuri needs permission. Mokuri says that even though Tsumiki is fine with it, there are all sorts of people out there. She understands that this is how Tsumiki has been able to attend here, and it would be nice if it were to remain that way. Tsumiki ponders, but then stops Mokuri because it still needs the finishing touch, the chasing Choco Beam. The splash of chocolate syrup surprises Mokuri, but she still laughs out loud as she says that this is so artsy. Yutaka is surprised because Mokuri has always been quite aloof and scary, but she can still laugh like that. Once she leaves, Tsumiki asks Yutaka it was okay that he did not ask. Yutaka is surprised that she noticed, but she tells him that she has been watching the whole time. Yutaka says that maybe he should have said something. Mokuri is still running from those paparazzi, but what is the root cause of her problems? He thinks that is the most important thing. Half the time he does not ask, because even if he asks, the only things he learns are the superficial things bothering him right now. Doing anything without knowing the underlying cause is not responsible. Tsumiki says that he is always thinking hard about other people's territory, but she thinks that Yutaka is right. It is very Yutaka-like. Yutaka thanks her but thinks that in the end he still did nothing. He wants to ask what would she do in such a case, but they hear a shriek throughout the school. Everyone is surprised, talking that it came from the 3rd floor and wonder if there are some bad guys. However, Tsumiki says that she heard webs, so she and Yutaka get permission to head out. They hurry towards the source of the sound and people are already gathered, commenting that it is pretty wicked. In the center of the attention stands Mokuri telling the bound paparazzi in front of her that she told them to cease their prattling as it was merely art made with webs. Promotion is important, Mokuri gets that, but she still thinks that they should not have used her name since she did not use her webs, so it is meaningless. Those people were doing their jobs, she gets that, though she wishes that they had not gone that far. People are scared, she gets that. As a spider person, as a Genjin, that was also going too far, she gets that. Now in the student guidance office, she sits in front of a committee that says that was not self-defense. Mokuri says that if she feels threatened, of course, she would resist with all her might and she merely achieved that using her webs. The teacher apologizes that she had to go through that due to inadequate supervision from the teachers, but she cannot go turning her nature on other people. While they understand that there was a reason she did that, but she still went too far. Of course, Mokuri knows that too. There was a time when a girl called her web pretty. Mokuri asked if she was not scared of spider webs because back at school, everyone yelled that she was going to catch them and run away. However, that girl said that it is cool and even took a picture because she wanted to show the pretty web to her mother. Mokuri found that girl strange because she was not repulsed at all, so they were always together. In the school's art room, the girl showed her art on social media and was getting tons of likes because her web art was super awesome. Mokuri only says that it is nice, but the girl tells her to be happier about this. However, Mokuri has always known that her webs are beautiful and useful and cook. The girl asked why she asked if she was scared of them, and if that was the case because she also said that they were pretty. Mokuri tells her that most humans are scared. The girl suggests to make an account for her to post her work on because she wants as many people to see her web art. Even Mokuri thought that it would not be so bad, but having it seen by vast swaths of people means that you get a lot of different opinions and it does feel quite surreal. She understands that, but is quite harsh, though she could live with it. But her friend cried because she thought that it was all her fault. Mokuri tells her that there is no need to apologize since she is completely fine, but the friend does not believe her because there is no way this is fine. People are saying these things about her friend and she cannot do anything. Mokuri realized that this was bad. Even if she is fine, someone's heart has been hurt by her webs. The friend stopped coming to school and the teachers asked if something happened since the two were such good friends. On that day, Mokuri decided that she would not use her webs. If they're just going to make her friend suffer, they are not needed. But they still brought her such joy. She cried at thought if she were not a Genjin, not a spider, but it is useless to think like that. But at least they do not know that the artist is a spider person, so she cannot go back now. That kind of every day is something special. The committee gives their final verdict and she accepts. Outside in the courtyard, Kanami is informed of what happened and that Mokuri will be gone for a while. Tsumiki thinks that it was self-defense, so it cannot be for all that long. Kanami sure hopes so. She tells Senga to get back there and get more people even though he's complaining that he just got back. And he just cannot understand why the hell is he in drag and asks if there is any damn point to this. They said it was a role only he could play, but just look at him. Kanami reminds him that he cannot use his powers to make people vote. There is an interim update stating that the attraction currently with the most votes is First Year Class 2's balloon art and close behind First Year. Both Tsumiki and Kanami say at the same time that it is starting to sting. Kanami is determined that whatever it takes, they will hold on to the end and win this for Mokuri too. She admits honestly that most of it was made by Mokuri and says that she always worked incredibly late on it. But the ties are a little weak. If she used her webbing, it would be super strong, but it seems like she did not want to do that. Senga says that she should have just used it. It is pretty strange considering how meticulous she was with everything else. Tsumiki understands that Mokuri was putting her all into this festival too. Something snaps in the artwork and it wobbles. Mokuri gets out of the student guidance office and thinks that this is fine too. However, from the window, she sees her artwork fly with Yutaka. She goes near the window to find Tsumiki, who asks for her help. The big balloon is floating away with Yutaka and Mokuri asks how on earth did that happen. Tsumiki calmly informs her that the balloon art's tethers have come off. She tried to stop him, but Yutaka tried to hold it down and flew off with it. Even Kanami is panicking as she says that Yutaka is getting stung a bit too much. Even Senga is wondering why did he not just let go immediately, but he knows that is the kind of idiot he is. Makuri agrees that she will help as she says that those ribbons are not affixed to the balloon so they could slip at any moment. Tsumiki wants that of course she needs to save Yutaka, but using her webs, can they not save the balloon as well? She says that right now their classes are neck and neck, so it would be bad if their work flew away and they won. Mokuri asks if it is really the time for that and says that she will use them for a rescue, but not for the real work. Tsumiki cannot say anything at this point since Yutaka is really in a pinch. He is panicking on what to do as the balloon just keeps floating higher and his arms are getting tired. He is thinking when the threads snap around his waist and he sees Mokuri on the roof. She tells him that she got him so he can let go, but Yutaka is worried about the balloon. Mokuri tells him that they have a spare in case that one popped. She feels bad for the people in her class, but the tethering was weak and she would simply do it again. Yutaka's life means more. However, Yutaka asks if she really cannot save both him and the balloon. Mokuri wonders what is wrong with the two of them, but Yutaka apologizes that she is trying to help him, but still, these balloons are packed with a lot of feelings. A lot of emotions went into making it, and since he do not really understand his own feelings, so he thinks that it is just amazing that people can just put their feelings into tangible form like this, whatever those feelings may be. As someone who does not know Mokuri very well, he knows that he is just being a pain, but he do not want to just give up on it. Mokuri says that even though he knows nothing, he is a strange child. She tells him to hold on a bit longer as should she pull on him, the ribbons may slip and that would be bad, so she will stop it from above. Mokuri wonders when did it begin. To calm her emotions, she tried to understand something that made no sense to her. To be honest, she's been angry all this time, she's been sad, but in the end, she is still herself. As a spider person, she uses webs. It is as simple as that, but they could not just leave it at that. Oh well, she will accept it all, for this is being herself. She forms a big net over the balloon to hold it, but the net is not long enough to reach the other building. However, Tsumiki comes to save the day as she grabs the other part of the spider web. Yutaka is about to slip away, so he calls for Tsumiki, who jumps toward him as Mokuri makes webs for her. Tsumiki successfully saves him while Mokuri is surprised by Tsumiki's moves. Yutaka apologizes for all the trouble and thanks both Mokuri and Tsumiki. Mokuri admits that she nearly had a heart attack, but thanks the two of them nevertheless. The balloon is back to normal and Yutaka thanks everyone for their hard work while Mokuri thinks that he is fraternizing too much with the enemy. She looks at the balloon and tells them to cover their ears as she pops the big balloon. Yutaka panics that after all that hard work she did this and asks if she really hates using the web that much. However, Mokuri says that this way is better as the small balloons get caught in her spider webs. Tsumiki says that they can finally fight fair and square, but Kanami can already see her victory. Tsumiki cannot wait till the results tomorrow and decides to head back and do their best for this final stretch. On the other hand, Kanami orders Senga to get back out there to get some visitors, but he says that they would come even if she does not do it. Senga asks Tsumiki, why did she not rescue Yutaka after he floated away, because he is sure that she could have easily saved him all by herself. Tsumiki remembers Yutaka's worries and admits that she could have, but she just could not. Senga does not get it, but Yutaka thanks her. It is Keiki High School Cultural Festival's second day. Yutaka, Matsuki, and Katu get off their shifts at the Cosplay Cafe. Yutaka thinks that so much stuff happened yesterday with so many ups and downs. The students are talking about the beautiful artwork exhibition of Year 1 Class 2. Yutaka asks what the guys are doing after this, so Matsuki tells him that he will be attending the event at the second gymnasium where he would see Romakiba Premium Stage. Yutaka thinks that this is serious otaku life. Katu also has his schedule jam-packed with helping out the stagehands at the drama club, helping out the band with drums, and then being a guest with the broadcasting club. Senga gets out of the class and calls Yutaka, but is soon swarmed with the girls who want to walk together with him. Yutaka sees that everyone has something they like and things they want to do. He glances at his wristwatch and there is still 3 hours left till the closing ceremony. Tsumiki calls him, wearing a flower crown and a sash stating the Arm Wrestling Tournament Champion. Yutaka can see that she is 100% into the festival. It seems that her shift finished at the same time as him, and then she won the tournament. She takes a look at the pamphlets in Yutaka's hand and says that the tea ceremony experience looks fun, and it is starting pretty soon. She says that they need to conquer all the things they can only see at a school festival and invites Yutaka. However, he asks if that is okay with her friends. She tells him that it is kind of difficult arranging things, so they just kind of say hi as they pass each other. Yutaka assumes that she probably got way too many invitations, but Tsumiki looks at him and says that a school festival should be exciting. Yutaka also thinks so and accompanies her to the tea ceremony. Tsumiki tells him that you can only visit the tea ceremony room during special club activities, so this is a special cultural festival moment. Yutaka admits that it is always exciting to enter a new place for the first time. Both smell the soothing aroma as they enter, and when they see the sign stating that they need to take off their shoes before entering, Tsumiki instantly gets to work. Yutaka is impressed by her feet tearing right through and thinks that it is as impressive as ever. He also notices that she is showing them off more than usual. Tsumiki tells him that they got really lucky today since there were only 3 spots open. The tea ceremony starts and both drink the tea, but Tsumiki starts quivering. Yutaka asks if she's okay, but she says that her legs are numb. She guesses that it is because she has never sat in a formal Seiza pose before. However, as she is standing up, she yelps and grabs Yutaka's shirt. She blushes and says that she was just a little surprised. However, the others were all tingly too for a completely different reason. Their next destination is the art club exhibition hall. They find Murri at the information desk, who thanks them both for coming and tells them to write their names. Yutaka is writing it when she notices a band-aid and asks if his hand is okay. Yutaka says that he is totally fine, but Murri says that he is surprisingly a tough kid indeed. She formerly thought that he was one to keep his distance from others, but he went and did that for someone else. He said that he did not really understand his own feelings, but Murri thanks him for doing that for her. Yutaka says that it was all thanks to Tsumiki, as she was the one to offer to look for his feelings together, and if they end up not getting along, they can just go their separate ways. So he just wanted to say something even if it did not really suit him. Murri says that she thinks it was a fine encounter. They have only spoken a smidgen, but perchance, Tsumiki's cheerfulness just inspires everyone around her. After they leave the art club, they find their way to the stalls. Tsumiki admits that they are eating a little late, but she got all the food she wanted. Yutaka asks if she is really fine with not getting a cutlet sandwich. She says that he just does not get it. This is a school festival, so she has to get the special food that is only available today, and she can only have it right now. Yutaka wonders if it is really okay. This is Tsumiki's favorite food, the Friday-only cutlet sandwich from the school cafeteria. He munches on it, and she asks if the meat is tender. Yutaka agrees that it is really soft, but Tsumiki keeps looking at the cutlet sandwich and finally asks if she can have just one bite. Yutaka agrees and proceeds to get her one, but she takes a bite off the one he just ate. Yutaka is stunned, but Tsumiki is just enjoying her bite without thinking anything else as she thanks him. Yutaka looks at the sandwich, and Tsumiki is surprised that her bite is that big compared to Yutaka's. She stuffs the sandwich into his mouth, telling him to hurry up and eat. She asks him if he is not afraid that someone else will take it and proceeds to eat her own lunch. Yutaka thinks that is some serious consideration as Tsumiki ponders on what to eat next. He thinks that Tsumiki's pace is overwhelming somehow. So many things happen one after another, his heart cannot keep up. Even now, he wants to be here, but he also wants to run away. They hear the announcement that the closing ceremony will begin shortly, so everyone is advised to head to the school gymnasium for the closing ceremony. Tsumiki says that they better hurry up and grab his arm. Yutaka never thought he would have to hurry there at the last moment, but time flies when he is with Tsumiki. The thrilling school festival has come to an end. Yutaka is sure there will be more days like this to come, more irreplaceable days. That is what he felt. Tsumiki wakes up in her cave on the ringing of her alarm clock. She does not want to get up and just rolls to scroll through her phone. She hears that her dad is home and goes out to greet him after a night shift. He is surprised that she is not at school, so Tsumiki tells him that they are off today for the cultural festival days, so she's going to karaoke with her classmates to celebrate. Her dad panics because he knows that karaoke is that thing where you sit in a tiny room and sing loudly with a mysterious musical box. He worries that Tsumiki will go deaf and her ears will be in agony. Tsumiki tells him that it is okay since she has her special high-powered earplugs. But now her dad worries that she would not be aware of her surroundings and would be startled when someone suddenly comes in. Tsumiki assures him that it would be fine and not to worry so much. However, her dad is still worried that she will have to sing. Tsumiki says that she knows, so her dad tells her to be careful. She does not know why he is worrying and just agrees. When she leaves, her dad paces to and fro, hoping that she gets there okay, since she tends to take detours, so he hopes that she will make it to karaoke on time. He thinks that he should call once, but the gatekeeper reminds him that she just left. He has always been a worrywart, and she is always fine when she goes out. Her dad admits that it is true, but he is worried because she always seems fine. It is relatively easy for Genjin to live these days compared to the past, and he thinks that it is probably a good thing that she feels so comfortable outside. Tsumiki has been fascinated with the outside world ever since she was little. She loves it, given her cheerful nature. But just one time something happened. She got into a big fight with a Genjin friend and got injured but did not say anything about it. She seemed just fine, so he did not even notice. He admits that he really does not know her situation. Though you think that he needs to try, he really does not want to be insensitive. The gatekeeper reassures him that the school she's going to now is good for her, as she is always wagging her tail. Her father is glad and even knows about the time she invited a friend over for the first time since she started high school, but he was not there, so did not get to meet them. The gatekeeper remembers that delicate male, but the father is surprised to find that it was a boy. Tsumiki meets everyone who is already all fired up. The girls think that Kityu is a little too good at the tambourine, while Matsuki is not so much at singing. Tsumiki is glad that the pool cleaning group was able to get a room together, though it kind of feels like a launch party. Next is Yutaka's turn, and he seems surprisingly hyped about this. However, his singing is deadpan. Kityu thinks that Yutaka is not to be underestimated to be able to sing like that, but Tsumiki says that he is still searching. Next is Murri's turn, and she takes the mic and rocks out, even though this is more of a ballad or love song. Tsumiki finds Murri pretty good and gets asked to enter a song. Tsumiki says that she is not great at hitting the notes, but she still lives to sing. One time, as soon as she came home, her father asked if something is wrong, like if something bad happened at school. Tsumiki told him that nothing bad happened, so her father asked if there was something she did not understand. Tsumiki told him that they were reciting the song for the yearly school recital, but it was so loud that it bothered her and she could not sing very well. But the worst part is that they told her that since it is Tsumiki, she cannot really help it. She knows that she just needs to practice a bit more. But singing is a lot of fun, so she asks her father to practice with her. Now at the karaoke, she sings so loud that everyone is blown away, but they are enjoying it nevertheless. She even moves her hand into a cute dance, so Yutaka suggests that everyone should line up in 2 rows at the front and sing his song. The gang would obviously do that. Everyone gathers around to enjoy together. Tsumiki hits the video button and sends it to her dad. When he plays it, the loud sound startles them, but they recognizes that it is Tsumiki singing. Her father remembers her asking to practice with her and them doing it until she performed at the recital. Now in the video, she sure looks like she's having fun. He asks his kids if one of these other kids came to their house, but the kids look away as they know that they definitely cannot tell dad about Yutaka. Tsumiki is really content right now in the oh-so-pleasant breeze, the soothing sound of swaying leaves, the scent of autumn gradually spreads, so is just perfect in a pile of leaves. She is spotted by a group of students passing by and even offers to make them a leaf bath as well. But the girls refuse because there sure are bugs in those leaves. Both the boys and the girls think that Tsumiki is cute because she is such a free spirit and can be at home anywhere. They speculated that she had gone somewhere to hang out alone, and true enough, here she is. However, she still happily talks to everyone, so she sure is the friendliest lone wolf werewolf. They are so ready to sign the petition that she is the best. Looks like Tsumiki is done with her leaf bath, so she takes her leave but finds a very pale Yutaka on the way. Upon asking, she finds he was checking out the bulletin board and got overwhelmed to find so many club activities. He is thinking about clubs because every day after school, his friends ditch him to go to their club activities. Instead of feeling lonely, our cinnamon roll thinks that it is pretty neat that they are so into it. It is so dazzling that he also thought of finding something like that as well. Tsumiki listens to him intently say that he wants to feel that feeling of something he likes and decides to help him. She explains that he would not know until he tries, so to start with, she decides to check out the student council. After school, a sports club runs with the wind, but Yutaka is the one whose heart is going thump-thump because he is getting really nervous. He never even thought about joining the student council, he won't know until he tries. However, even though he knows that joining the student council is too high a hurdle for a first attempt, but Tsumiki is adamant about attacking the strong ones first. Yutaka suddenly gets startled by a group of boys fangirling around a girl with horns. The girl with horns also seems happy to be the center of attention, and when the boys announce that they love her, she's like, it's succubus time. Like most of us, Yutaka's also like, what the heck, but the boys have already lined up and bowed to make a path, leaving Yutaka standing alone. Yutaka cannot help but also stand in the line and starts observing that the girl is a succubus-type Genjin, but he does not know a lot about their nature. The succubus girl stares straight at a guy, and with just a tap on his chin, the boy has fallen. Yutaka also notes that anyone who looks at her just collapses, but when he notices a bug on her back, he does not hesitate to tell her. The girl blushes just like that and proceeds to take it off, saying that she just checked her clothes earlier. Yutaka helps her take off the bug, receives a thank you, and takes his leave with the excuse that he has an appointment to get to. However, just this act of kindness was enough for the succubus girl to get interested in Yutaka. Student council work starts with equipment maintenance, so Yutaka and Tsumiki worked up a sweat doing the tough job. They even took off their jackets halfway through when they should have been short-sleeved from the start. The most basic job of the student council is equipment maintenance, but quite a lot of stuff tends to break with so many Genjin students. The equipment collection box even contains the locker door that Tsumiki bent in the early chapters, Nostalgic, isn't it? Since they are done here, they decide to head back to the student council room, but Yutaka mistakenly throws over Tsumiki's jacket. Tsumiki tells her his mistake, and Yutaka can tell the smell's different, but Tsumiki's like, no sniffing. Yutaka apologizes, but Tsumiki explains that she worked wearing it for a while and sweat a bunch, so it stinks right now. She demands Yutaka take it off, so he takes it off even though he thinks it is just fine. Tsumiki takes her jacket, throws it over, and sniffs it. Yutaka promises to not make a mistake like this again, but I don't think she minds that much because the scent is now mixed, subtly different from when she took it off. After deodorizing her body thoroughly, Tsumiki heads to the student council and Tao with Yutaka to inform them they are finished with the equipment check. However, she finds the succubus girl applying makeup in the student council room. They both seem to know each other, and at this point, we find out the succubus girl is called Akko. Out of nowhere, Akko says that she had a promise with Tsumiki, but Tsumiki does not get what she means. Akko does not bother explaining and approaches Yutaka, asking for his name. When he introduces himself, Akko does a kabadan saying that she is now even more interested in him and asks him to fall in love with her. Akko asks Yutaka to fall in love with him, shocking Tsumiki, but Yutaka remains unfazed as he points out that she has got something on her ear. Akko blushes as she says that she just leaned it earlier, but on the inside, she is troubled that Yutaka just does not hold eye contact with her and always looks at something else. There's an announcement calling for Akko to the staff room, so she gotta go for now. After taking her leave, Akko keeps thinking that Yutaka seems to be good friends with Tsumiki, but she cannot make him drawn to her if he keeps looking away. Yutaka thinks that she has got quite an impressive aura, but Tsumiki warns him to not look into her eyes directly. Yutaka does not get her warning despite her knowing Akko, so Tsumiki explains that they went to same middle school, but she's a lot different now. As the bell rings, Yutaka says that since they are trying out the student council tomorrow, they should head back home for now, but Tsumiki seems kinda worried because she compared a part of her with Akko. Makeup and documents that so Akko Yumanaka, so we get a GRWM as she gets ready for school and is determined to be all perfect again today. It has been over a year since Akko entered Keiki High School. She had no confidence in middle school, but she can live proudly now. The hard work she has been putting on every day is paying off, so she became the perfect self to be loved by everyone. Of course, she understands wanting to be loved for who you are, but she thinks it is too naive and takes some real effort. So her shortcut is to get closer using her cute side. Also, she thinks her destined person might be among all those who love her, but that's nothing more than a joke. Yutaka also notices her among the crowd and observes that anyone who talks to her starts smiling ear to ear. As she passes by, a whole team of baseball bows towards her, thanking her for getting the ball they could not reach yesterday. Akko charms them with her beauty and a little motivation for their morning practice. She wants them to love her, but she does not want to force them to love her. However, it sure is great to hear everyone say thank you, so today is another great day. In the student council room, someone asks Akko for help and he is happy to respond. Yutaka comments that Akko is always super busy, but Tsumiki is determined to not lose to her, so she motivates Yutaka to do their best as well. Akko seems to be looking for something, but so far, her efforts are all in vain. She is worried that if they do not have that file, it would cause a big problem for everyone, so she needs to find it fast. The duo comes to help her after seeing that she is looking for something, but Akko says that she will deal with it herself since it was her fault. Tsumiki suggests that it would be faster if she asked more people for help, but Akko thinks that there is no way because she is a succubus. If she asks someone for something like anyone else can, it seems like it's because she had drawn them to her. The problem is not just being any succubus, but the succubus Akko Yumanaka that everyone loves, that she needs to show people she can do things without the power of her constitution. She further says that she is not like Tsuniki, so it is no good if she is not the perfect Akko Yumanaka. Akko asks them to leave her alone, but Tsumiki suddenly starts sniffing her. Akko claims that it is just so embarrassing, but Tsumiki says it is not. She says that Akko is always focused on being perfect, so she should look for it together. The whole point of sniffing was to get Akko's scent so she could look for the missing file. Akko finally tells her that the file is pink and the information it contains is very important. Tsumiki teams up with Yutaka to look for it while Akko follows behind. They are able to find the file very quickly with Tsumiki's nose, and after handing it to Akko, Tsumiki takes her leave. Yutaka hears her say, "At least wait for a thank you," and her comments that Tsumiki is always like that. Tsumiki just shows up and helps out without wanting anything in return. Yutaka tells her that they saw Akko this morning. He wondered why she got a bug on her yesterday, but it was all because she was helping out other people. Just like that, they also wanted to help her like she does with others. Yutaka also takes his leave after that, but Akko blushes as she comments he is just like Tsumiki too. Yutaka is filling out his club application, but looks like Tsumiki is all done with it, and all she has to do now is turn it in. She has applied for student council because they are top students, and apparently, They do not have a lot to do except for the big events. Tsumiki thanks Yutaka for yesterday as she says that Eiko can work very hard for other people and can be pretty hard on herself, so if they had not found the file, she would have been in total despair. Yutaka says that they were able to find the file all thanks to Tsumiki's sense of smell. When he sees the two of them, he thinks it would be nice if he could help people as well. It's kind of hard for Yutaka to know what he wants, but he is also going to turn in his application to join the student council. Once they head to the student council room, Akko takes the applications as the student council vice president and says that she is happy to be working with the two of them. However, they both are still surprised she is the vice president. Yunaka Akko, a second-year student of Keiki High School, Genjin-type succubus, always seeks perfection so that everyone falls in love with her. At least that's how bad it had been, but when she lost the file, how the whole school wanted to do with his mistake was Tsumiki and Yutaka. Akko could not even make eye contact with him to use her powers of attraction because all he saw were things that embarrassed her. Moreover, he even complimented her for being always helpful, and that bothered Akko, so she is determined to attract him somehow. Just then, she receives a fortune notification on her phone and everything's about her, so it could be a sign. Later, Akko announces that she is going to teach the duo how they work at the student council. Yutaka, being a cinnamon roll, is all serious about it, but Tsumiki just asks if Akko is going to be in charge of them. Somehow, Akko is offended and asks if they do not like the idea of her being in charge. She explains that even though the student council will be on break for today and tomorrow, today she will only show them the calendar for future activities. She says that Yutaka can deliver the documents while Tsumiki can help her stamp the papers. Yutaka heeds her words and immediately leaves to deliver the papers, which gives Akko the perfect opportunity to investigate since Tsumiki seems to get along well with Yutaka. Tsumiki can guess there's something Akko wants to talk about, so Akko compliments her for being perceptive and also decides to directly ask what Tsumiki thinks about Yutaka. Tsumiki is taken aback at first, but eventually says that Yutaka overthinks about stuff, is a bit reserved, but in a certain way, gives a warm feeling. She smiles as she says that he is a very important person to her. Akko can tell that it is the way of speech reserved for important people to Tsumiki, so she says that it is more like loving because one cannot make someone important more special. Akko knows that Tsumiki has never dated anyone, but she is sure that Yutaka also feels the same. However, this will not stop her from making the first move, but to Tsumiki, her words leave a feeling that she cannot forget. Yutaka enters his classroom as usual, but finds Akko sitting on his seat. He asks the reason, but she gives a vague answer. Outside the classroom, the students gather to watch that it is not just Tsumiki anymore. Yutaka gets along with Akko as well now. They are really envious of his friendship with the two girls, but some still prefer Tsumiki. Sogumi, the Genjin observer, knows that Akko's abilities need certain conditions to be active, and while the effects may vary from person to person, they do not last very long. However, Sugumi still hopes there is nothing between them. On the other hand, Yutaka asks if there is some unfinished business or anything, but Akko goes all out when she asks if it is not enough that she just wants to see Yutaka as soon as possible. Even the audience cannot withstand her sweetness attack, but Yutaka remains unfazed and simply thanks her. The audience is somewhat offended by his reaction, but Tsumiki enters with messy hair and breaks the mood. She thinks that her messy hair is art, and when Akko asks if she still uses the window to break in the class, Tsumiki kinda ignores her as she says her hair looks like a piece of art. Even when Tsumiki notices Akko sitting on Yutaka's desk, she does not say anything. Yutaka asks if Tsumiki only came here to show her hair. She proudly tells him that she came carefully so her hair would not mess up, so she was almost late. Tsumiki is surrounded by people in no time, making Akko jealous of her people's liking. However, Akko takes her leave after telling Yutaka to not forget his special after-school tutoring. She is not going to give up yet because today, Akko is the luckiest girl in the world. However, she still has not read her fortune in detail, so she does that now. In the student council room, once Yutaka enters, Akko offers him a seat as she says that to strengthen a relationship, the first thing is to get to know each other. She comes closer as she says that she will tell everything about her if it's Yutaka, about the texture of her horns being nice and how her tail is incredibly soft. She asked if he would like to touch it, but Yutaka's like, nah, I'm good. Now this was not the reaction she was expecting. She made an effort, but is only making her embarrassed, and he even looked away at just the right moment. In addition, the position she is in is a bit awkward, and to make it more awkward, the chair tilts, making both of them fall. Akko immediately apologizes and asks if he is okay, but when he does say not to worry, Akko says that she has not done anything perfect since yesterday. However, Yutaka tells her that he has been thinking a lot about what to say. Akko is always taking the initiative, actively seeking to deepen her relationship with others, and that seems incredible to him. For him, taking that step requires a lot of courage and wishes to be like that, so Akko is incredible because of that. Akko is speechless. But there's another thing that does not add up. Yutaka has been making eye contact for a while now, but still has not fallen under her attraction. She cannot believe it because she read earlier that there would be a faithful guy who would not fall under her attraction. She finds out that Yutaka is her destiny, and the panel fills with flowers like in shoujo manga. Yutaka just wants to give her a hand to stand up, but she shouts that suddenly holding hands is too out of the way, a succubus saying that, ironic isn't it? She leaves for the day, leaving behind Yutaka, who is afraid he said something wrong. Tsumiki wakes up in class after sleeping too much, but she cannot help but think of what Akko said about loving and Yutaka about wanting to find the feeling of liking something. In the end, Tsumiki can only conclude that it is complicated. Akko has the duo come to the student council to talk about a volunteer camp. She explains it is still a little while away, but she wanted them to know ahead of time because they also need to make preparations. She tells them she would love for both of them to participate, but when her eyes fall on Yutaka, she is all red. She beats her head to calm her down because even if Yutaka, her soulmate, is in front of her, she is still working for the student council right now. She is sure that everything will be fine as long as she acts perfectly like always. Tsumiki kindly tells her the exit is the other way and comments that there has been a strange vibe since this morning and asks Yutaka if anything happened. Yutaka suddenly remembers about happened after school yesterday and goes pale, thinking it is because he did something inappropriate. Even though they barely know each other, he started saying she was a great senpai, so Echo now surely thinks he's a weird kohai. Yutaka is just sure it is because of that and gets depressed, thinking he has ruined everything. However, Echo takes her leave, saying that she has to go out for another matter, leaving a very pale Yutaka behind. Just then, Yumami enters the room asking if the two of them joined the student council. She actually has a favor to ask as there seems to be a little problem. Tsumiki and Yutaka are ready to help because that's their first job. The three run to the scene of events and arrive at the temperature control room set at cold. Yutaka is not surprised to see such a facility because this is expected of Keiki High to have the right facilities for the characteristics of Genjin students. Yumami explains that the problem is that the temperature of the room does not drop and the snow is already melting. Tsumiki asks if she just wants to regulate the temperature here, but Yumami explains that she wanted to do a surprise for her friend's birthday, who is a Yeti. The duo understands that they need to bring the temperature back to where the snow does not melt because things cannot be done as it is as they get down to work. Tsumiki and Yutaka guide the repairing man to the temperature room, so it's all set now. Since the temperature in the room is dropping, they start the preparations for the surprise. Yutaka asks the girls if they are not cold, with just those clothes on, but the girls say it is not a problem because unicorns and werewolves have cold resistance. Without further ado, the three start with the preparations. Yumami observes Tsumiki's work and tells her she does not want an igloo. The mini snowman is so cute, so she wants the place to be full of cute things. However, Tsumiki argues that igloo is great because it is like a mini house, so it is better to have one. Yutaka notices them arguing, and the case soon comes to his court for him to tell which idea is better. Yutaka contemplates that the surprise birthday plan is Yumami's idea, and Tsumiki's proposing igloo has a good side to it, but the most important thing is that the surprise goes well. After they are done, they have mini snowmen and a big igloo snowman. Both the girls agree that it looks beautiful, and Yutaka is glad everything went well. Yumami tells them his Yeti friend does not want to use this facility. The nature of it causes the temperature around it to drop, so he refuses to enter to not cool the atmosphere too much, even though he actually loves the snow. Yumami is sure he will happy to use it, so she thanks both of them and leaves to buy more decorations. Yutaka also suggests going back, but Tsuniki's tail is wagging excitedly as she looks at the snow. He asks if she wants to do more preparations, but instead of replying, Tsumiki asks if he is cold. Yutaka tells her he is fine since he has been moving. Tsumiki touches the snow because it is so irresistible, and Yutaka cannot help but say that Tsumiki is incredible like always. However, Tsumiki sarcastically says that she was arguing with Yumami just a moment ago, so she is truly impressive. Yutaka tells her lately and happens to him that words come out of his mouth without thinking, but he reflects on them. It seems that he looks confused to talk with sincerity, and still seems to him that he is too invasive for others. He admits that he has a long way to go, but Tsumiki says that Yutaka is a person who knows how to convey what is important at the right moments. He has always been like that since the beginning. Yutaka looks touched to hear that, so Tsumiki comments that he is cheering up, but Yutaka tells her to not get carried away. She giggles as she tells him to let it go sometimes. She presents the igloo she made in an instant with the encouragement Yutaka gave her and feels like making a bigger one. She hopes winter will come cool, and it snows this year, which makes Yutaka laughs. Tsumiki also smiles and pulls Yutaka into the igloo because his hands are red and he might catch a cold again. Once inside, she asks if it is warm, so Yutaka confirms, but notes that the igloo is smaller than the cave she made. He goes quiet for a while, but then confesses that Echo is probably behaving strangely because of him lately. He is thinking of asking her next time and try to get closer, but Tsumiki asks him to get closer to her as well. Yutaka blushes a little and says that he has been getting pretty close to Tsumiki, but she says she will just do it more then. Senga the vampire is up to no good once again as he uses his good looks to meet up a girl in school. The girl is so happy to see such an eye candy like him, so Senga gives her permission to look as much as she likes. She says it is infuriating that he is so handsome, but she still loves him. Just then, she receives a text message and proceeds to reply blushingly, which is keenly observed by Senga. He tells her that he is not really hungry today and today's the day he receives his blood pack, so he does not meet her blood today. The girl looks surprised to hear that, so Senga acts all cute as he apologizes for taking the time to see her. The girl says that she is happy to see him, but her friends need her, so she takes her leave. After Senga is left alone, he makes a meme of that someone is interested in that girl, so he needs to be careful from now on because he does not like disputes in relationships. He decides to submit the application and then head home, but comes across that weird Aiko's succubus time. Senga recalls that Aiko is a succubus but cannot understand why she deals with so many people at once. However, Senga finds Yutaka joining the line as well, so he drags him away, but Yutaka says he is waiting for his turn because he needs to talk to Aiko. Senga is confused, so Yutaka explains that it is very important, so he needs to look into her eyes and talk to her. Senga knows that if one looks into her eyes, he can get attracted, but Yutaka looks disappointed that succubus time is already over. After school, Yutaka is not heading home because he is helping someone with random chores, but he does not mind because he was heading to the student council room anyways. Senga, who is acting more like a stalker than a spy, watches from a distance that Yutaka is heading towards the student council, so he assumes that he is going there to meet Echo and worries if Yutaka will be okay by himself. Senga wonders if he should follow Yutaka stealthy, but Tsumiki pops out of nowhere and tells him his scent will give him away. Senga explains that Yutaka might be falling into the clutches of succubus because he was standing in a strange line with weirdos just to talk to her. However, Tsumiki makes a smug face as she explains that Yutaka is stepping over a line with Eiko this time. Senga does not get what she means, but there's a commotion at the end of the hallway, so the two start observing that for now. Mokuri seems to have stuck herself in her own web that make Yutaka panic. Senga comments that Yutaka's encounter rate is too high, but Tsumiki says it's his personality that makes him easy to rely on. Senga doubts it is some Genjin nature, but Yutaka is a pure human, so if Yutaka tries to solve everything, there will be no end to it. Tsumiki teases him if he is worried about Yutaka, but Senga remains serious as he admits that he just does not understand him. It is best if one can maintain a shallow relationship with lots of people, so that if something bad happens, that person can just move on easily. However, Yutaka gets too close without even realizing it. He only thinks about other people when he acts, so if something bad happens, it is a huge loss. While talking, the two have been following Yutaka as he goes to meet Echo, but Tsumiki's ears drop. Now it is Senga's chance to ask if she is worried about him, and if it is okay to just the two of them alone. Tsumiki does not get his point and decides to wait outside until they are done. Senga feels confused, but then understands that Yutaka wants to talk to Echo and move forward, so Tsumiki is watching out for him. Senga knows that it would be wrong to stop Tsumiki, but he still does not get why Yutaka wants to do it all by himself. Senga decides to go home because this is not really his kind of thing, as he thinks that keeping relationships wide and shallow is easier. Yutaka is his first friend, so Senga does not really get it, but Tsumiki tells him that Yutaka also does not really get it either, how far to step in, and sometimes he steps in really far. It is kind of selfish really, because nobody asked him to do it, but sometimes people end up being saved by his selfishness. Tsumiki asks Senga to try to be a little selfish as well, but that is just her own selfish opinion. Senga thinks she is still very annoying, but still comes back to check on Yutaka. He knows that this is not his style, he is broad and shallow, but he still opens the door dramatically as he demands Eiko to keep her hands off his best friend. But Yutaka and Eiko seem to be working. Now it's really awkward. Eiko puts on her filter as she introduces herself, but already knows about Senga. She says she has heard rumors, and since they seem to have similar natures, she tells him to feel free to rely on her if he needs any advice. Senga doubts it's the same person who does the succubus time thingy, but Eiko's like, ouch. She explains that's fan service, and rather than just collecting energy, she wants to be the perfect succubus. Senga, always the lady's boy, wonders if she really is not so dangerous after all, but cannot be so sure just yet, so he looks at Yutaka to confirm if he is really okay. Yutaka is all flowers because Senga called him his best friend, and that's make him super happy. It slowly dawns upon Senga that the two of them really were doing their work normally. Tsumiki enters the room and slaps his shoulder, saying it's really hot in here. Tsumiki says that both Yutaka and Eiko are fast typers because she could hear them all the way down the hall. It is now that Senga realizes Tsumiki did all this on purpose. Tsumiki is playing football and Sugumi is taking pictures happily because she is in charge of taking pictures for the school's homepage, and Yutaka is impressed by her important job. She explains that she just needs to put some new photos of classes and club activities, and since the student council is holding a volunteer camp soon, she will be attending that as a member of the newspaper club. On the other hand, Senga just does not get the whole volunteer champ because it is just to improve the school's image. With stuff like contributing to the community, they are just trying too hard even though it might actually have some benefits. Yutaka thinks it is a bit depressing to hear that, but Senga does not hesitate to say that since Echo is in charge of the volunteer camp, one can never know when that succubus attracts. He says that Yutaka is too hard on himself, but he is also naive for his own good. Even if he pays close attention to others, if something seems off, he can let Senga know about it. Tsugumi wonders if Senga is standing Yutaka but keeps it only in his head and asks if the two of them are not playing the game since they are both pretty fast. Yutaka points out that they just do not need to be fast because the spider girl Mokuri has a complete thread lockdown using her nature. Even Senga admits there's no way to go against that, but Tsugumi is intrigued by such a defense. On the other hand, Tsumiki knows she just needs to break the web to gain a goal, so she uses her big wolf kick, but no one knows what she is aiming for. That was some crazy distance, but Tsugumi snaps pictures of our amazing Tsumiki kick power. However, Mokuri is still weighing in her mind even after all this time. Tsugumi enters the gymnasium and announces that she is here to take pictures of the drama club for the homepage, but only finds Mokuri, who is in the art club. Mokuri explains that she is just assisting because everyone in the stage crew is down with a cold and the work needs to be done today, so she is helping out. Tsugumi is all awkward because she has not talked to Mokuri since the cultural festival. She needs the pictures but does not want to get in her way again, so she decides to take her leave for now, but Mokuri asks if she can draw and can help her for a bit. Mokuri says it's just a swoosh, then a bang, and then just a quick kiss. These instructions are way too vague, but Tsugumi still tries to work. However, she is distracted by the crunching sounds of Mokuri's eating and is genuinely worried about her caffeine level. Mokuri tells her that spiders merely get a little tipsy, but this is the easiest way to get energy, so it's good. She is already tipsy when she says it should be fine as long as she does not eat too much, but Tsugumi has no idea how much is too much. Tsugumi wants Mokuri to check her work but is mesmerized by her. Mokuri notices Tsugumi stopped working, so she apologizes. Mokuri tells her they can take pictures when they are done with this, but Tsugumi asks if she cares to be photographed. Mokuri says she is not beautiful in photographs, but Tsugumi's social media photos were good. Mokuri tells her that she had an exclusive cameraman, and at first she was just taking pictures to preserve her works because she cannot keep all the actual art pieces, but if they are saved as pictures, she may look back at them anytime. However, she started posting them on social media, and that was more than enough, but in the end, all that mattered to them was that she was a spider person. Tsugumi has also heard all kinds of rumors and gossip about Mokuri's past, so she knows that she suddenly erased all her works, so there is no way she did not have a good reason. Tsugumi remembers herself also asking about her being a spider person, so she apologizes for that day. She admits that she found herself enthralled by things she did not have, she envied them and ended up rushing ahead without thinking. But when that admiration is directed at someone's Genjin nature, the nuance of the admiration inevitably changes. It's kind of like this: we look up to someone who is good at running or singing and you respect those people. Whether it's human or Genjin, she cannot help but admire talented people. She once again apologizes to Mokuri as she says she does not need her to acknowledge her, but Tsugumi's sentence is cut off by Mokuri, who calls her a strange child but says she understands. Tsugumi checks her camera and runs after Tsugumi, blabbering about everything they have done until now. Mokuri comments that she talks a lot but asks what's the matter when she finds her shocked. Turns out, Tsugumi left the manuscript for tomorrow back in the classroom and is now blabbering about it. Tsugumi is about to go get it, but Mokuri does not understand the fuss as she wraps her web around Tsugumi and tells her it is her way of thanking Tsugumi for helping her out. And just like Spider-Man, they fly towards the classroom, but Tsugumi is out of her wits. Once they reach the classroom, Mokuri tells Tsugumi to grab her things before the teacher comes, and the teacher does come to scold them, but they are gone before he realizes because Mokuri has once again become Spider-Man. The next day, Mokuri is greeted by her classmates when she is looking at the photos. When they ask what she is looking at, she explains that a noisy child with a discerning eye took some photos. If she were to ask someone to take pictures again, it would be Tsugumi, though the actual thing is still the best. Yutaka, who is sure he really offended Eiko somehow, and Eiko, who is obsessed with Yutaka and thinks he is her soulmate. What wacky hijinks will their misunderstandings lead to? To solve this problem, Yutaka has asked her to meet so early but apologizes for it. Aka was all cool about it, so Yutaka proceeds to tell her that he wants to tell her something he could not manage to say the other day. Aka was all ears to hear about it, but is she really with her back to Yutaka? She is fussing about the fact that Yutaka called her out alone to such a deserted place so early in the morning and thinks he is bolder than he appears. On the other hand, Yutaka thinks she hates him so much that she cannot even look at him. He still finds the courage to bring on the topic of offering his hands, but Eiko shrieks and runs away because she just cannot handle the situation. Yutaka is once again left wondering what you must do, but Tsumiki pops out of the ground to say that Yutaka has definitely gotten into it again. Yutaka goes on and on about how he feels really bad about forcing Eiko, but Tsumiki tells him he can just tell her to wait and listen to him. Tsumiki is now sure that her friend needs special training before he is able to do that. After getting all muddy, Tsumiki receives a blissful tower and the day ends just like this. Yutaka wonders about Tsumiki's special training and assumes it to be something like greeting 1,000 different people. However, when he reaches the room, Tsumiki is all dressed up, pretending to be Eiko. She says that since Yutaka does not really understand Eiko, she is going to help him out as someone who spent 2 years of middle school talking to Eiko. She wants to start practicing, but Yutaka asks why is she going through all this trouble, so she explains that Yutaka has been trying his best and is important to her, so it kind of makes her want to help him somehow. She tells him to start trying to her as Eiko, but Yutaka thanks her instead, so she tells him she would also be pretty happy if her good friends Eiko and Yutaka became good friends. There's a strange pause, but they start the special training anyway. Tsumiki-sensei explains that they are first going to take a deep dive into Eiko's personality and Genjin nature. She wrote down a lot of things, but the most important thing is her tail. Eiko wags her tail when she's happy too, and she takes good care of it as well. Tsumiki cannot help but agree that having it praised honestly makes them feel happy, and then there's cleaning and grooming. Yutaka notices that Eiko suddenly became a werewolf, but Tsumiki is also wagging her tail right now as she explains about Eiko. Yutaka thanks her, but Tsumiki says they are not done with the special training. According to her, the trick of becoming friends is just doing what you want to do and then somehow become friends. Yutaka points out that's something that only Tsumiki can pull off, but she tells him to do what he wants to do. However, Yutaka is not sure, but he thinks it would be nice if Eiko were happy with it as well. Tsumiki points to her ear, and when Yutaka guesses that she wants her ear scratched, she instantly positions herself for the task. Tsumiki even tells him to brush her ear, so Yutaka hesitantly approaches the fluffy ear to scratch it. However, Tsumiki tells him to scratch a little harder, so he apologizes, asking if it felt weird. Tsumiki tells him it feels just a little different when he does it somehow, but Yutaka thinks it is too tough, so Tsumiki decides to switch the positions they are in and starts scratching Yutaka's ear. Yutaka blushes as he says his ears are fine, but Tsumiki explains that grooming is often done together and ear cleaning is pretty close to fur grooming. She just realizes it might be a werewolf thing, and right now, she's Eiko, so she also touches Yutaka's chin like she does as she says you have fallen. The result is a tomato Yutaka that makes Tsumiki wonder what exactly is she doing. On the way back, Yutaka thanks her for the special training and decides to look for Eiko, but Tsumiki stops him to sniff him. Yutaka asks if this is also a part of the special training, and Tsumiki confirms as she wishes him good luck. Yutaka is stunned and thanks her as he leaves, but Tsumiki is blushing because she has already told him humans should use human greetings. On his way, Yutaka comes across 2 of his friends who note that his face is all red. Yutaka explains that he was just doing special training with Tsumiki, and now is going to talk to Eiko. The friends are super jealous, but our cinnamon roll does not notice it and proceeds to talk to Eiko. As soon as she finds her, she apologizes for the other day, saying he got carried away and said stuff like she was totally cool, but he really meant it. However, Eiko asks the reason for his apologizing because she was really happy when he said that. Yutaka is surprised to hear that because he does not know why she acted like that. He wonders what he should say next and remembers Tsumiki mentioned how it is nice to have her tail praised, so he also praises Eiko's tail, but everyone freezes. Eiko blushingly says Yutaka is surprisingly naughty, but he is already surrounded by a bunch of boys. Later, Yutaka reports to Tsumiki that he is apparently not on the right path. The car is stuck in mud, so Tsumiki suggests lifting it out. Even the teacher says that they would be a great help and apologizes about it. Yutaka is about to ask for Tsumiki's help, but she has already done the job. A few hours before, Tsumiki and Yutaka are ready for the volunteer camp. This is their first outside activity since they joined the student council, so Yutaka is kind of nervous, but is also looking forward to it. They meet the rest of the group shortly after. Shogumi did not expect Senga to join as well, and he admits he is not really interested in it. But he has to keep an eye on Yutaka because it looks like Eiko has taken a liking to him, and who knows when she will use her nature on him. Shogumi is now sure that Senga is worried because he stands Yutaka. The group decides to stash their luggage in their rooms and meet up again, but Eiko asks Yutaka if he would like to sneak out tonight because she wants to talk to him for a bit. Yutaka wonders if this is about the rude comment about her tail, but Senga and Shogumi can tell they are talking past each other once again. The girls arrive at their room and Tsumiki likes the smell of it, but Eiko is more concerned about how she got covered with mud, and the short answer is because it's a mountain. Tsumiki starts sniffing around, so Shogumi starts taking pictures of her. Tsumiki is excited to find the fluffy bed and is about to jump on it, but is stopped by Echo. Tsumiki says she wants to try the bed, but is dragged away by Echo for a bath. Sugumi is in heaven watching all this. On the boys' side, Senga suggests playing werewolf later, but how are they supposed to do that with only 2 people? It's a shocking truth for Senga, who wanted to it in their room. When you think of training camp, you automatically think of cooking. Echo is done with all the preparations, so it's time to cook. They are going to make curry from vegetables grown by local farmers. This is her first actual task with her soulmate, so she is determined to show off her perfect cooking skills and make Yutaka fall for her. She asks Yutaka to taste test for her, but she was all out with the famous say ah. Senga and Sugumi are shocked to see that, and Senga calls her a dangerous senpai because she's asking Yutaka to taste test plain rice. However, Sugumi notes that Eiko's hands are shaking like crazy. Eiko thinks saying that is just too embarrassing, and she really needs to mentally prepare herself if he really eats. Yutaka can tell she's trying to send him a message, but before he can figure it out, Tsumiki chomps on the rice. She is all flowers as she compliments the rice cooked over the campfire and tells Yutaka that he needs to eat his prey before it escapes, but Yutaka kindly informs her rice is not going to run. Eiko finally notices that Tsumiki is carrying a giant pile of firewood, but Yutaka wonders if there is anyone who needs that much. He belatedly notices that there's nobody near them, so Senga informs him that Genjin are very rare, and it is their school that makes them forget about this fact. This is how humans usually react to Genjin. Yutaka is about to help Tsuniki deliver firewood, but as an extrovert, she is already offering it to humans. It just takes some moments for her to be popular again, so Yutaka is amazed by her. She happily delivers the firewood, and when a human is about to drop the hot pot, she instantly helps straighten it. The human panics that her hand got burned, but Tsumiki explains that she is a werewolf, so it will heal quickly because fast healing is part of their nature. The humans around her are amazed and thank her for the help. However, her Tsumiki's friends are worried for her, so when she returns to their platform, Yutaka tells her to run some water over her hand to cool it down. Tsumiki claims it does not hurt anymore, but Yutaka goes speechless. Even he does not know what he is feeling. The forest cleanup volunteer work begins, and after helping a car, Yutaka says it is pretty amazing for Tsumiki to be able to hear a car that was stuck and unable to move. Tsumiki explains that mountains are really quiet, and they decide to head back to meet everyone. Yutaka has no idea which way they came from, but Tsumiki tells him to leave it to her because mountains are home ground for her, but it starts pouring down all of a sudden. Tsumiki rushes because they need to get back while she can still smell the way, but they slide and fall down the cliff, Yutaka wrapped in her arms. Yutaka slowly gets up, but Tsumiki is already sitting, saying she messed up a little. She asks if Yutaka is okay, so he tells her she protected him. Tsumiki is glad to hear that and notes that the cliff is about 6 to 7 meters. She tells him it will take a while, but Yutaka can leave it to her because she will be able to carry him in no time. Even in front of her nonchalant and smiling face, Yutaka cannot seem to smile. As the night falls on the outdoor activities, Tsumiki takes a thorough bath and notes that her knee is fully healed before stepping into the room. The girls ask about her injury, so she tells them it is totally fine and apologizes for making them worry. The girls admit that they were really worried and surprised when Tsumiki and Yutaka showed up. Echo asks her what happened, so Tsumiki recalls the events after they fell. She tells Yutaka that she will be able to carry him back in no time. Yutaka looks at her for some time and decides to look for another way, but Tsumiki stops him because it is better not to split up in this weather. Besides, if they go another way, they might not be able to find their way back to everyone else because Tsumiki cannot track by smell or sound in this rain. Tsumiki is sure that once her leg heals, she can go up that 7-meter cliff like it's nothing, and going back the way they came from is the best option. Yutaka thinks of letting everyone else know, but there is not signal out there. He sits in front of her and asks her to put out her arms. When she does that, Yutaka takes her on his back as he tells her that he's going to give it a shot but will stop if it gets too dangerous. Tsumiki points out that he is already shaking, but Yutaka still climbs up the cliff. Soon after, Tsumiki notices that she is already healed up, so she tells Yutaka that she can take over from here, but he is uncharacteristically stubborn. Tsumiki reminds him it would be easier if she carried him because she has super strength as a werewolf, but Yutaka still wants to handle this one because it was Tsumiki who taught him about this. That time when he had a cold, she said Yutaka should rely on other people when he needs help. The same thing also applies to Tsuniki, so when she is hurt, it is okay to say so even though she knows it will heal. She can rely on others. Even if it at just this one time, Yutaka wants her to be able to rely on him because she is very important to him. Tsumiki smiles as she looks at the sky when Yutaka says it was just a passing shower. Tsumiki happily clings to Yutaka, but he tells her that they have made it up the cliff, so she does not have to hang on so tight, and it is a little hard to breath for him. Tsumiki just giggles in return and directs him on the right path using her hearing. Tsumiki refuses to tell this incident to anyone because it is a secret, and she wants to remember it over and over. She instantly falls asleep, but the girls can tell that something definitely happened. However, Echo is glad that Tsumiki and Yutaka are safe now. After a dynamic sleeping, Yutaka woke up, but he did not sleep well because Senga was really worried, so he lectured him for quite a while, and then Yutaka had a late-night self-reflection session. Yutaka thinks that he might have said too much, even though that was really how he felt. He is greeted by Tsumiki, who asks if he went for a walk. Yutaka tells her that he was just hanging the towels out to dry, but then one of the towels fly away and Yutaka is too tired to get it. Fortunately, Tsumiki is happy to help and goes to catch the rebellious towel. Yutaka is so glad that she is already better because when they fell off the cliff, he thought it might be a lot worse. Tsumiki suddenly changes the subject and asks if he has found something he likes in the student council. When Yutaka tells her that he is not sure, Tsumiki suggests looking for it together. Yutaka is confused by the sudden silence, but she pulls his head closer using the towel as she tells him that it is something important so Yutaka can continue to be himself. He has no idea what she means, but he only gets a warm smile in return. Later, Senga and Sugumi note that Tsumiki is even more fired up than before, so they are sure something good happened. At the student council, Eiko praises them for the volunteer camp and proceeds with the student council activities, even if it is raining. Today, she's going to introduce the dude to the student council president. Tsumiki mentions that she has not seen him recently, so Eiko explains that he's incredibly talented and sought after for activities in and out of school. He is really just perfect, but she says that there is no need to be nervous, even though she keeps missing the chair for nervousness herself. Yutaka wonders what kind of person the president is because just talking about him turned their perfect senpai into a mess. Tsumiki says that the atmosphere has gotten a bit electric, and when Yutaka agrees, she clarifies that she meant literally, that the actual air got electric because behold, the student council president has arrived, telling them to get to work because a wasted second is a wasted second. Tsuniki's ears and tail get charged, so she blushes. Ako is surprised that Tsuniki is okay with her terrible bedhead, but this proofing gets to her. Tsumiki explains that the bedhead was kind of stylish, but this is totally different. The president apologizes for letting off some charge and proceeds to take care of it using his watch. Soon the electricity gets sucked out of the air, but the president again apologizes for the late introduction. He is second-year student, Shinto-Raisin. His Genjin type is a dragon of the lightning element, and his Genjin nature is the electricity that flows through his body. The proximity of friction can easily cause him to discharge, and as they have seen earlier, it sometimes overflows. But there is nothing to worry about since he has electricity adjustment band. Ako points out that when it overflows, it means he has been working too hard, but Raisin tells her is not a problem. He says they should be efficient and assign the right people to the right job, and he has already heard about the duo. He assigns heavy lifting to Tsumiki but asks Yutaka if he has any special interests or skills. Yutaka tells him that he is still searching, but Raisin is surprised to find there's not even one, so he tells him to come with him and he will let him know when he sees something. Yutaka agrees but thinks that Raisin decided that fast and is pretty amazing. Yutaka follows behind the majestic president and notes that the people just stop and stare wherever the president goes. Raisin tells him he does not need to be so afraid of being himself. The president actually heard from Echo that Yutaka is a bold guy who pretends to be meek. Yutaka has no idea how she get to that, but Raisin tells him they will be visiting various clubs today to check the state of the equipment and talk to the members. While checking the equipment, Yutaka comes across Kurain, who asks where she should take the extra dumbbells now. The president tells her that's the equipment from the temperature-controlled room as they are kept there so that others may exercise at an optimal temperature. President Raisin watches Yutaka help Kurain take the equipment to its original place. Yutaka finds Tsumiki at the temperature-controlled room as well, even though she cannot handle heat all that well. Turns out she is also here to take care of some equipment. They enter the room, but everything turns dark due to a power out, and what's more, the door here is also powered so it cannot be opened anymore. Tsumiki is about to smash it open, but Yutaka does not think it is a good idea. Tsumiki giggles because she's only kidding and decides to pry it open. Yutaka doubts she can do that without breaking it and suggests contacting someone. He wonders about the temperature of the room, but since power is out, it should not get any hotter. Tsumiki checks her phone to tell him that there's a pretty big power outage and finds an article about the president on the side as well. They both look at it and are impressed by his presence at a big conference. However, Yutaka also feels dejected for messing up and says that the president would have been able to carry the equipment much faster, and he could probably do something to power up the door as well. Even though the president said the right people to the right jobs, Yutaka thought he could be of help, but now it is just embarrassing. Tsumiki tells him that thoughtfulness of his is one of his best virtues, so he should be proud of it. Yutaka feels touched and thanks her, but just then, Tsumiki's phone dies because she forgot to charge it. However, she still had the time to message Eiko, so it should be fine. Yutaka cannot see a thing, and it sure does not seem like the temperature is dropping, but he hears a rustle of clothes beside him, and it turns out Tsumiki is feeling hot. Yutaka worries that it is too dangerous for her and suggests opening the door using force, but she says it's fine and points out that Yutaka is the one looking overheated. She can see in the dark, so she proceeds to help Yutaka unbutton his collar. But just then, the president uses his electricity to power up the room and the light returns. Tsumiki is too close, so Yutaka panics and shrieks, which in turn makes the president come to check. Raisin finds the two of them too close, so he assumes this was what Akko meant by Yutaka being a bold guy. On their way out, Raisin tells Yutaka that even though he does not have Genjin strength, he still left Yutaka with that task and he got it done with alacrity. Raisin thanks Yutaka because he has learned something and shakes his hand. The rain seems to be getting heavier, so Raisin calls it a day. However, he remembers something about a human and a Genjin but decides to not say anything about the matter for now. The Halloween soon approaches, so Yutaka and Tsumiki are decorating the student council accordingly while President Raisin is immersed in work. Tsumiki asks Raisin if he would like to put up the Halloween decor, but when he asks if they need his help, her answer is no. He tells her he has higher priority tasks in need of his attention, so if it is not necessary, he will refrain. She asks if he hates Halloween, but Raisin says he neither likes it nor hates it and asks the purpose of decorating this room. The number of items in the student council has already increased recently, so it is more efficient to only keep necessary tools in this workspace. Raisin demonstrates that he does not need the Halloween clock because he has a slight electrical discharge every 10 minutes so he can tell the time without a clock. However, he is polite enough to admit that this is his own opinion and now wants to hear Tsumiki's opinion on the matter as well. Tsumiki replies that Halloween is Halloween and this is something they do on Halloween. Yutaka notices that she is just powering through by using that word. However, she continues to say that it is an event that only comes once a year, so why not have some fun? President Raisin cannot believe that she is going to allocate her time based on whether something is fun or not. It is needless to say at this point, these two are polar opposites of each other. Suddenly, Tsumiki's hair gets charged due to Raisin's scheduled discharge, and he once again proves his point of not needing the stupid clock. The president takes his leave because he has another appointment, while Tsumiki gets rid of the charge from her hair. The student council is completely decorated, and even Murri is happily surprised to find that, so President Raisin tells her this is all Tsumiki's work. She also finds the clock cute, so the president tells her again that it is all Tsumiki's doing even though he told her they do not need it. Murri notices that their permanently serene student council president seems a little perturbed, but does not say it out loud. The ever-working president asks about her issues, so she brings forward a concern she found in the cultural festival's budget report. Raisin takes responsibility for solving the problem, and when he notices Murri blinking her eyes, he offers to look the other way so she can put her eye drops. She apologizes as explains that she is not allowed to remove her glasses around other people, but thanks him for the consideration. However, Raisin tells her not to apologize since those are the rules she is required to follow, and it is wise to be careful if one has a certain nature. He explains that is the reason he leaves electronic devices like computers to others, because if he zapped the data, it would just be a waste of time. Ending the conversation, Raisin assures Murri that he will bring her the revised report later so she can go put in eye drops. She thanks him as she realizes that Raisin takes Genjin nature very seriously. President Raisin is here to call Murri, but the gang is in the middle of taking a group picture. The Oni guy asks for his permission to take a quick photo, while Murri explains that she is only participating in his because she has done all her work, but the president does not get why are they all panicking. However, Tsumiki is happy to see him because she challenges him to a match of paper sumo to teach him to not underestimate Halloween. Even though paper sumo has nothing to do with Halloween, it is a fair match without any Genjin natures. President Raisin calculates time in his head using his natural discharges and concludes that he can spare 10 minutes. Yutaka hands him some paper and pens while Akko asks if he even knows how to make one, and he's like, naturally, because he is prepared to handle any situation at any time. The gang cannot understand why is he prepared for paper sumo of all things. Once the match starts, Raisin does pretty good after getting the hang of it, and Akko looks happy to see him participate in an activity with everyone else. In the end, Tsumiki loses and hides her face, but the president does not get what she is doing. He is informed that she is feeling frustrated because of her lose, but the president still does not get why she cares so much. When there's nothing, she gets even if she wins. Tsumiki asks if winning is not an award in itself because winning is fun and makes you happy, but she is reminded that she did not win and did not receive that reward. The president takes his leave after his discharge, but is stopped by Yutaka outside the classroom. Yutaka offers him some candy since it's Halloween, but he just stares at Yutaka. Yutaka asks if he does not like chocolate, but is told that is not the case. President Raisin says that he should not be swayed by his emotions like just now when he did not desire to win or even desire to play, but before he knew it, He was completely absorbed, and that was completely unexpected. He asks if Tsumiki is always like that because he somehow feels that she can immediately have him match her pace. Yutaka replies that Tsumiki just does what she wants to, and that is simply amazing. While there are times when it seems like she's actively plotting to make friends, which is neat too, but someday Yutaka would like to be able to be himself as well. Hearing that, President Raisin decides to take chocolate because sugar is very conducive to concentration after all. President Raisin enters the decorated student council room. He never thought a day would come when he would purposely look at a clock, but he smiles as he says it is unexpected.